My name is Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca George, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans, and I'm a friend of the show.
My name is Zainab Sammaz, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jan Faria, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Yes.
Take one. Well done.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paulini, and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one time.
Ready? Play.
Hey, Zach, how are you?
John, it is such a pleasure to be here with you on this magnificent birthday. Some are calling it the most significant birthday on August 1st ever. And off the top of my head, I can't think of a more significant one. Can you?
Well, I don't know who we share a birthday with. I'm now going to check.
Yeah,
probably some terrible, terrible people in history.
Let's play a game. Yeah, who's the worst person that Talking Tennis shares a birthday with?
Well, I've got one here. Catherine Parr, by the way. Do you know who Catherine... by the way, this might be British bias, but do you know who Catherine Parr is?
I don't. Tell me about
That's
Catherine
fine.
Parr. Oh, she's
That's
a queen, right?
She was. Yeah, she was one of Henry VIII's wives. So that's one of 6, of course.
Okay.
But probably one of the lesser known ones. Like his first one was Spanish and like 25 years and sort of famous. The second one was famous because she had her head chopped off. And there was another one as well. And
that is memorable.
There's one that had the son, I think, that then... Anyway, there's a few, but I think she's probably number 6. Not necessarily in order, but certainly in terms of fame. So understandably, you don't know who she is, but she died in 1548. So not quite old enough to continue long enough into the Talking Tennis world, never mind anything else.
I just want to say for the record, John, that I think that she would have been a fan if she'd lived another 500 years.
There's no doubt.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. I mean, I think she was not only a fan of tennis, but also a fan of talking, even though tennis didn't exist then either. So
most
it's
people
just
are.
inevitable.
Well, yeah, it's Jason Momoa's birthday, by the way, and look, he's a handsome guy.
I don't know who that is.
You don't know who Jason Momoa is?
In fact, I've got it here, and I didn't want to say it because I don't know who it is.
Are you a Game of Thrones guy at all?
No, as you can probably tell.
Okay, yeah, he was Khal Drogo. For those, I know that we've kind of memory hold Game of Thrones the last season. So, but Coolio, American rapper, Gangster's Paradise.
Yeah, Coolio, very much. Yeah, I use the expression sometimes myself as a lame sort of joke to just sort of say everything
today.
But
today
yeah, he died a couple of years ago, right?
Oh no, I'm just learning of this right now. I'm really sad.
Oh right, yeah.
Oh no,
sorry about that.
Coolio. Well, it's been 3 years, so I guess.
Yeah,
I missed it. Oh, that's a bummer. Well, rest in peace, Coolio. And
I'm the bearer of bad tidings.
Wait a second. I think that he died the day that you founded Talking Tennis.
Oh, he died on the 1st of August, or he was born on the 1st of August.
I don't know that. You're right. He died in 2022. It would be a death on the birthday.
I think it was winter. That's all I'll say. So I think it wasn't the 1st of August, but I could be wrong.
Yep. I think that he lives on through Talking Tennis in many ways.
For sure. We like Gangster's Paradise and all his other hits. Are
you seeing this in the chat, by the way?
What's going on?
Ghosty has met Coolio once, and I'd like to know that story.
That is Ghosty. We've known you for 3 years, and I can't believe you've been keeping that gem under your hat.
That should really be in his bio.
Yves Saint Laurent, by the way, the aftershave or cologne or whatever, I think, and probably a bit more fashion, I guess. Have you got any others?
I mean, there's things that like break my heart. Like I'm on this website, famousbirthdays.com, and there are so many YouTube stars on here, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do with that. I don't know a single one of these YouTube stars. I'm sure that everybody under 30 does. Maybe Damien Koost as a youngster. Maybe you do know a few of these. Do you know any YouTube stars that have a birthday of August 1st?
August
the only
1st
YouTube stars he knows is us.
In Poland. but it's related to the Second World War. That's the only thing I know about August 1st, to be honest.
Oh, right. It's an anniversary. Yeah. I mean, let's have a look at things that. So, what did the First World War, first or Second World War? First, right?
Second World War. It's the beginning of the uprising in Warsaw.
Oh,
Pretty
okay.
much in Poland. And you hear like at 5 p.m. there's the sirens just like go huge all over the country. I'm currently not in Poland, so I didn't hear them today. But now you made me realize that it is today.
Right. There you go. Things that happen. I'm now doing. Oh no. I think Lady Diana was end of August. In Iraq invaded Kuwait in 1990 on this day.
I got one. Colorado became the 38th state in the U.S. Isn't that great? Colorado
on the 1st of August. Long time ago. I guess a few hundred years ago.
I'm surprised you've forgotten, but yes, in 1876, that did happen. And also, this is a nice one for the UK. In 1834, it's when the Slavery Abolition Act was passed and it went into effect.
Nice, good.
It's when David Cameron's family got all their money.
I think the element oxygen was also discovered. I nearly said invented, but I don't think you invent oxygen. It's always been there. We just didn't know it. In either 1774 or 1831. I'm getting confused with these numbers. Oh, yeah, I've got the abolition of slavery. Yeah, 1834. Yep. Yeah, so 1774, oxygen was discovered. Yep. Something about Christopher Columbus as well, but I don't know what. It just says Christopher Columbus.
MTV launched, and let's be honest, I think that Talking Tennis is going to outlive MTV at this point. Like, they just show reruns of what's it called, Ridiculousness. We have original content basically every single day. But now that we've talked August 1st, John, what's it been like when you started this? Like, were your friends like, "What are you doing?" Were they encouraging? Like, how did this come to be, and what does it feel like 3 years in, now that we're near 20,000 subscribers and it's grown so much and it's become a global community?
I mean, it's 51% good times, 49% not so good times. And let me tell you now, the 51% is these times, these moments, the chill out moments, the times when we're live most of the time, I would say. A lot of the time but there's a lot of other things that go on, the traveling to tournaments and sometimes dealing with the big boys, which the players, by the way, is not my issue, but everyone knows what the issues I have with how tennis is run, and that's the 49%, and we can dwell on that later. But 3 years ago, I mean, I just wanted to go to tournaments, basically. That's what I wanted. I got a taste of it through another media organization in the summer of 2022, and that gave me a taste for, like, do you know what I want to do? I want to do some shows. I want to get enough subscribers and enough followers, so therefore I can write to the Estoril Open, and they can say, yeah, sure, come along. I mean, honestly, at that time, sure, I had ambitions for much bigger things in terms of the slams and everything else, but I also wanted to just go to tournaments and not have to pay for a ticket and talk about tennis, basically.
Yeah.
And I'm still doing that, albeit we're sort of
You're
more aiming at the
talking
challenge.
tennis.
Yeah, I mean, we are still, although we just talked about the 1st of August for 8 minutes, but yeah.
That's it's pretty cool, man.
We went live a bit later, Zach, than I wanted to, because I put together a sort of anniversary video that ended up taking me a lot longer than I intended. I do want to keep up to date, by the way, with what's happening in the test. I don't even know, but I want Damien to tell us where he is.
No, I mean, nothing special. I'm just in Liberec at a challenger. I'm actually doing a 2-week swing. Tomorrow I'm driving back to Poland for a challenger in Poland. And it's going to be clay and hardcore.
Sorry, where are you one more time?
I'm in Liberec in Czechia.
Okay. I think for the American audience, not familiar with the city of...
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. Most Europeans probably aren't either. It's not like massive. It's very close to the tri-point, I think it's how you call it, of Germany, Czechia, and Poland. Yeah. It's in the mountains. So yeah, I don't think it's very famous either. It kind of is for me because it's like so close and very close to mountains, and I've been here before, I think, as a kid. So I understand, yeah. But yeah, basically doing a 2-week challenger swing where thankfully most of the issues that John just mentioned just don't really appear, There are other issues, like for example, when I was getting here, I was driving here last Sunday, and I only got the email from the tournament saying that, I can come. We can, we'll give you an accreditation Sunday, 11 a.m. So, well, there are some other issues, but basically it's still fun. It's great. And well, I only joined for like 5 minutes. I'll be going in 1 or 2.
No worries. I on that same topic actually, I never got a confirmation at all from Hagen, but I just sort of assumed it was a yes kind of thing. It was always kind of good communication, but they never sort of. I say they. I mean, all the time was done via Instagram DM with a guy who does the comparing, the post match speeches, and in the end, I just thought I think it's there, and he's probably getting bothered by me. Keep asking him. So I just went, and of course it was there waiting for me. And the same thing for Bon. He keeps saying he's going to send me a link, and I'm still waiting. But I at least Bon is 20 minutes from my home. But last year they've moved the location because all the players were deeply unhappy with the course.
Ooh, I do want to just do a quick callback to the Coolio story. Put a pin in that. I'm going to read this out loud because it's incredible. So when Ghost of Garolitis met Coolio, he was buying and he went to see an indie band in Lollapalooza, and they directed him to Coolio's tent. Coolio was eating a huge bowl of spaghetti and had bikini-clad women on each shoulder, and yeah, that's just like it was just a normal day in the life of Coolio, I guess.
That's how I would imagine it. Yeah,
the spaghetti to me is the best part of that story. Like,
don't
that's
quite
just,
was it spaghetti with pasta though?
Well, there's just nothing less sexy than eating a big bowl of spaghetti. And I can't imagine having like bikini clad folks sitting next to me as I just cover myself in spaghetti sauce and slurp noodles, which again, not super duper sexy. I would imagine. Well, maybe it is when Coolio does it. Just not, he's not like the rest of us.
Damien and I, of course, this time exactly a year ago, we were in Porto.
Oh,
which Porto is as far as challenges concerned, is sort of at the top-ish, or, certainly 125 and so on and so forth. But
now it's a 100 actually, because as we mentioned last year, the field was not really 125 but in terms of like how they were doing media, for sure,
yeah, definitely. And I mean, it was just a pretty pristine event, I would suggest.
Sure.
I think it might have been free entry actually for the fans. I'm not sure, but I think it might have been.
So there's a rumor out there
because it was during the Olympics, right? So I'm not really sure how it was working, to be honest. Maybe this year it's different. Yeah, definitely a high, I don't know, class venue.
You do see this bigger events as well, but I've seen it a lot this week in Hagen. Just players just wandering around looking for something, whether and that there's also fans there that don't know who they are. They're just wandering past, and someone's saying, where'd you get that spaghetti from, or where's the toilet, or where's court 3, and you're like, okay, that's the guys who's going to be playing in 20 minutes. One old lady came up to me yesterday saying, when is Yannick Hanfman going to play? And I said soon. That's all I could tell, because I knew when it was scheduled for, but you can't put a pin in that because weather, especially, it's been raining quite a bit today as well. And I've got a video I want to play, but I'll play it later. Maybe if and when you two are both, or I know Damien's going to be gone any second, but maybe Zach, when you're about to leave, I'll play this video because it's actually 10 minutes long. I see we've got some tennis happening now, and Osaka was up a break, but she's lost it in that second set, so it's back on serve. And
so, John,
friend of the show,
I will sign up, guys. Happy anniversary. See you around.
Later, Damien. I have about 9 more minutes before I have to get back to work. Got to respect the power of the almighty dollar. But I did hear a rumor, and I'm hoping that maybe you can confirm or deny it, John.
Sure.
The rumor is on the 4th birthday of Talking Tennis that Damien Kust is going to get sent on an American hard court season swing. Can you confirm this rumor that is not randomly made up, but is very much the talk of town in the States?
Oh, for sure. It's the talk of town, but I can neither confirm nor deny those things.
Oh!
It's 12 months away. Lerner Team says happy birthday. Look at that. First of all, it's 12 months away. Secondly, Damien would not want. Well, he would if it was involving challengers, but he wouldn't be interested in the US Open or Cincinnati or any of that, unless it was qualifying, perhaps.
And who would be when there's challengers out there?
Yeah, but there are challenges, of course, happening right now, I think, across the North America, ahead of the US Open. And thank you, Ghosty, for that contribution. And hi to Nerlan as well. And good to see one or two other familiar faces here. Yeah, shall we talk a bit of tennis before you go as well? I mean, Towson has got the job done, and so has Naomi Osaka. She seeded that break, but then eventually got over the line. So she's through in straight sets. That's a good win for Naomi. Really taken off since her and Patrick Mouratoglou went their separate ways. So the Mouratoglou brand has taken a hit in the last few days, and Clara Towson is through as well.
Yes,
Any thoughts
indeed.
on Canada this week and Lerner team? Maybe it's been a while since you mentioned Lerner.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that the two Americans that I am the most excited about generally are Ben Shelton and Lerner team, and they're polar opposites of each other. They both happen to be American and left-handed, but beyond that, you got West Coast versus East Coast. You got tall and Chadley versus not as tall and not as built. You've got mega famous girlfriend versus I don't know what Lerner gets up to in his free time. You've got one who's been on the cusp of breaking through for a few years to one who's still not really seen as that top tier talent. So I just remain very excited about both of them. It's good to see Osaka get a win against a good player. Ostapenko been a bit cold lately. I'm shocked by the Menchik result. I got to tell you, I mean, Davidovich is on.
Lost.
Yeah, I'm super bullish on Menchik and Davidovich Fokina. I think that he's really a poster child for marriage here. The dude got married and has been on a tear since then. Just like Madison Keys, might he shock the world at the U.S. Open? Definitely not. But wouldn't it be fun if he did?
Yeah, but I thought Davidovich would suffer for a couple of reasons. One, because I just thought that this run through Washington and then the first few days here in Canada would catch up with him. And secondly, of course, obviously his complaints yesterday regarding his scheduling, which I think Dan Evans has had an interesting response to that, which is basically shut the F up. Come on. I also know where Davidovich Fokina is coming from, and I know how the authorities can be, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But there's probably a little bit more to this than meets the eye, because I think Davidovich Fokina is very keen to highlight, listen, there's a lot of other stuff that goes down that you guys don't know about, and I know what he means with that to some extent. But anyway, back to the tennis, at least on the court. That result does shock me. I didn't even know it until just coming on the screen and hearing your words. Yeah, because I thought Mensik would win. I've got Mensik in my power rankings. I'm really big on him through this North American swing, and don't know what happened today, but hats off to Davidovich.
Absolutely. And either great news or, depending on how you feel about me, terrible news. My 2:00 call has got canceled. I will be sticking around at John if you'll have me for a little bit longer than that. I've just turned on my screen the Rublev Sonego match, and
great.
It's a big point coming up. Sonego has it's a deuce game. He's down 3-1 in the first, trying to kind of get back in rhythm. And oh gosh, what a close miss by Rublev there, who's lost the first set. I think I'll probably, after this game, flip on that FILS LEHECKA match because both, LEHECKA is younger than I think people realize. He's been around for seemingly years and years and years, but I think he's still only 23 or 24. And then FILS is another one who I personally think might be able to break through into that top 5 category. He's also still so young, and he's got weapons and weapons and weapons, and he's also got that swagger too. He's a guy who you can tell believes that he can beat people even if he can't really, and you need that belief like a young Muhammad Ali had, that you can be the greatest even if you're not.
Yeah. A few things. I mean, those 3 actually all 5 matches that we've seen so far in terms of the 2 women's matches I just touched on, and then these 3 men's matches I can see across the screen, they all feel like they're quite difficult to call and quite significant. As in, let's talk about FIS. If he beats LEHECKA, especially in straight sets, it'll be like, okay, any concerns we had about Artur and his health, that's really put that to bed. If LEHECKA wins, by the way, it would be a similar thing in terms of his health, and because I think both have got lots of doubts for the last 3, 4, 5, 6 months, probably in LEHECKA's case, maybe even going back further in terms of their form and fitness. Rublev and Sonego, I think Rublev, of course, I think we've got loads of swirling doubts regarding where his tennis is at right now. And I think a loss to Sonego in any way, shape or form would be another nail in the tennis coffin, almost like Medvedev losing yesterday. And then when it comes to Davidovich Fokina and Mensik, it's like, oh, I've probably been overestimating maybe Mensik and underestimating Davidovich Fokina. Yes, I know how good a player he is, and I know that he's going to win an ATP Tour title one day. But I thought the exploits of of last week in particular, but even the whole season. I mean, he went deep in Monte Carlo, and he's played a lot of tennis over the last few months, and I thought that would catch up with him, but
I don't think you're overrating Menchik. I think that he is a young player, and young players are prone to spotty outcomes just a little bit more. I think that he is that talented. He is absolutely the same caliber of talent as João Fonseca, if not even a notch above. Yep. But yeah, I mean, I certainly have underrated Davidovich Fokina because I don't get it. Like whenever I watch him play, I'm kind of like surprised when he's having a good result. I just don't see it. Oh, that's a fun
one of
question
these
there.
players, by the way, and he's maybe not super talented, so it's not quite a Davidovich Fokina scenario, or even a Jan-Lennard Struff, although I know Struff has now got over the line. But he is a fairly high-profile guy on the ATP Tour, and to me, he's the first one that springs to mind. He's somebody that I saw walk past today in and around the tables, in between some of the rain, and he's just walking past, and nobody knows who he is. And he's on this list, despite, I know if Damien was here, he'd probably shake his head because he's just not super talented. But it's Botic van der Zandschulp. And he's in Hagen this week, and he'll be in Bonn next week. And he's had match points against Holger Rune, I think it was, on clay, somewhere in Serbia, I think, a couple of years ago. I think he may have been in a double breakup and had match points as well. And so he didn't get over the line. A little bit like Davidovich Fokina in many ways. He's had match points now twice this year, hasn't he, to win his first title, championship points. So he's just the first one that springs to mind. But there's probably, I mean, obviously right now ADF, but I'm wondering in tennis history, it's easier when we look back on history, it's easier to answer the slam one because we all know the David Ferrers and the Nishiokas and Nishikoris and stuff. So, that's whereas we don't really know who was the world number 28 in 1987, who was just unbelievably good, but couldn't quite get, who was the Davidovich Fokina of 1987? We don't know who that is, right?
I am about to get to the bottom of this with the powers of ChatGPT.
Right.
So let me see what we can cook up here. Best ATP player never to win a tournament. And this is, we're including 250s here. Yes.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
One of my favorite subplots about FIS is that he's just the king of the 500. I think it's so funny.
Yeah.
Like Fritz is like, he's just racking grass court 250 trophies. Like, I always get a kick out of that when a player just kind of has a series of seemingly random results. Because look, they're people. Taylor Fritz, when he goes into that grass court 250, I've got to imagine he is feeling loose and confident. When Arthur FIS enters a 500, I think he's thinking, hey, I'm king of the 500. And he is, or he was last year at least.
Yeah, I mean, there's also some players that have hardly won 500s.
This,
I think, is it Tsitsipas hadn't won one until this year? I think there's certain quirky stats about Cam Norrie winning more 500s on clay than Djokovic and Federer or something like that.
So the highest peak ranking without a title, you could argue that Jerzy Janowicz, career high number 14, Wimbledon semifinalist, 0 titles is the answer.
Okay.
The most accomplished without a title, you could argue, is Julian Benneteau, who reached 10 ATP finals.
Right.
Career high of 25 and never won. That's rough. That's rough.
I heard Gil Gross mention him when he was talking about Davidovich Fokina. This has got getting Benneteau levels. And I don't know how close he came in. How many finals was it? 10?
10 finals.
Yeah. He's also a bit of a challenger legend for various reasons, but we'll talk about that some other time. But he is known actually in that respect, and I know him a bit more on because of modern day reasons. He was the Billie Jean King Cup captain for the girls recently in France. But 10 finals.
10 finals. I think the match, by the way, that everybody is probably looking to hear about now is the Tchaikovsky and Bible versus Gallo and Hidalgo match last night in Raleigh, North Carolina.
So fill us in.
2-2. Tchaikovsky and Bible are looking good in the Seven Oaks.
Oh, it's doubles. Got it. Yeah, nice.
Yep. In the Seven Oaks men's division, 4-5 men's division, where the 3 seed got off to a great start. My partner hit a backhand down the line winner and broke his strings. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen somebody hit a backhand winner at the rec level and break their strings on the same shot. And it was just that kind of day for like the guys we played. Like we played them 10 times, they probably win 4, maybe 5. It was pretty even levels, and we just cooked them. And like they're guys that we know, they're both good guys. It's a pretty small scene, but it was a really fun one. I wish that I'd recorded it because it's just one of those matches. A lot of fun points where it was on clay. It was under the lights, just a good time. Bible absolutely does carry that team. I do find it difficult sometimes when I play with Stuart Bible, my primary doubles partner, not to just be firing off terrible puns with his last name. One when he hit that winner last night was too good for me to pass up, which is I haven't seen a Bible wrought that kind of destruction since. You can fill in the blank with any number of things.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if I misheard his name, so I didn't say anything. And plus, I don't know the guy, so I'd leave it to you. But by the way, Jake asking if he can ask me a question. That's not quite how it works, Jake. You just ask the question, and then if I decide I want to answer it, then that's the beauty of the live chat. I will say this, that maybe there were more sensitive fellows amongst the Talking Tennis team that maybe you can sort of just say, can I ask you a personal question? Although someone once very cleverly said, can I ask you a personal question? And they said, there's no such thing as personal questions, just personal answers. And that's very true. Smart ass, whoever that was. But I think it might have been a British author whose name escapes me. Anyway, of course you can, Jake. Just go ahead. By the way, you've got your cue here, Zach.
Oh, I do have.
What's the most recent message?
I have my favorite moment. And hey, Joyous Whispering GQGOXT25Q says, best viewers on streamboo.com. Remove the space at H9LIXH3U. Joyous Whispering, whatever. Thank you so much for that insightful comment. Please keep them coming. I wonder how sick the people that are regular listeners like Ghosty are of hearing me do that, because it never gets old for me, because it's hard to like read this stuff out in my like wannabe announcer voice, and it's kind of fun. John, you want to give it a go?
Yeah, I'll give it a go, and then I'll come to the tennis, and then I've got something else to say as well. But anyway, here we go. So thank you, Joyous Whispering 25Q. Do you like the way I put my own little twist on that?
I did.
Best viewers on streamboatspace.com, which I think is probably a mistake. I think you want to squeeze that. There's a space there too many. I think. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think they had that in there.
Look, very clever.
Yeah. Yep.
Remove the space. I've just seen it. John, wake up. And then at and a bunch of numbers and letters, but you can see what that is. Yeah, I see. Remove the space. Oh, okay. So got it. They're smarter than I am. What was the other thing I want to say? I was talking to somebody today or yesterday. I think it was yesterday. Somebody in my other job, and she does voiceover stuff. And there'll be a video about polar bears in the Arctic, and she'll be going, and you just see the polar bears.
Yeah.
Polar bears have an average life, one of those sort of things.
Yeah.
And she's got a perfect rhythm, and everything's like, and who knows what the next steps for these icy animals will be, that sort of thing. And that's how she talks to that. And it's very nice. And I said to her, do you talk like that in real life? And she's so like kind of serious. She didn't really know what I meant. I mean, this is all done by text, by the way. I was like, on Teams, and I'm like, going, yeah, but like when you're ordering your groceries, she still didn't know it. So anyway, it doesn't matter. But I just imagine like her going, and so I would like 3 pounds of cheese, please. I don't, whatever, And,
yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite moments on this channel is when I forget the match we were commentating on, but it wasn't I think at that point it wasn't particularly close, or wasn't a particularly exciting match. And we were like, all right, let's see how long we can go using announcer cliches that tell the viewer nothing relevant, no analysis, no insights. And I got through like 3 things, and your ability to keep it going, I was absolutely dying on that stream, because like there is that very specific voice. And I think one of the things that I greatly enjoy about Talking Tennis, both when I'm on it and when I'm just watching other folks on it, is that like it isn't just generic announcer voice. Like you get a little bit of emotion, a little bit of excitement. Like sometimes that tennis commentary voice puts me to sleep. Talisman versus Star Dubseva. The temperature is 82 degrees in Celsius. It's a different one. We remain here in Canada where we'll be all week, and like, but also like when you're trying to wind down for the day, that voice you're describing, fan-darn-tastic.
The 1936.
Thank you, Jake Davies, by the way, for the compliment. I mostly compliment. I never used to like Me Too. I get it. We're all working on it.
That's what his wife says. Anyway, the Summer Olympics of 1936, which were kind of better known for lots of other things that occurred, began on this day in 1936. Unsurprisingly, sometimes I sort of do, but I sort of make fun of myself, and I mention it to if I've got a co-commentator. I always say, 27 minutes past 5 local time, and just coming up to 1 hour 36 minutes on the clock for this match. That's me basically saying I don't know what to say. I could say bouncing the ball, but that actually sounds really silly. Whereas if you go, it's 12:36 local time and 1 hour and 41 minutes, because you see it as they're about to serve, you see these numbers in the background,
Yeah.
And if you're in New Delhi, I don't think you really care what time it is in Indian Wells right now. And by the way, you can see on the screen whether it's day or night or whatever. And
really quickly, I want to pay. I greatly appreciate the compliment from Jake Davies, so I want to pay him a compliment. Have always been a fan of his insights in the chat, and I think the moment though that I was hooked, where I was like, "Gosh, I hope this guy's in for every stream that I'm involved with," was when he displayed his borderline comprehensive knowledge of Welsh beers. I just thought that was such a cool thing to know about. I also I enjoy a Welsh beer from time to time, a Welsh red. And shifting gears, Ghosty does point out that was the Jesse Owens Olympics.
Yeah, I'm not going to give him too many credits for that because it's super well known. I just sort of basically said that the fact that Summer Olympics happened in Berlin in 1936 wasn't the storyline. It wasn't the storyline. Very much Jesse Owens was and one
the biggest thing going on in the world that year, the Olympics.
Yeah. Yep, indeed.
I do wonder though, all those YouTube stars that share a birthday with Talking Tennis, how many of them are aware of literally anything about that? Because I've in interactions with interns and younger folks in my line of work, like their cultural framework and references and like what they're aware of is so different than the generation ahead of them that you and I are a part of. It's like kind of shocking. And also, like you and I remember a pre-Big Three era, right? Like I have fond memories of Sampras, Agassi, memories of Jim Courier, not fond ones, but he existed.
Actually, mine are not super fond of Pete.
Not
a huge fan.
Is it the Henman thing because he beat him so many times?
Partly, for sure.
Yeah.
Partly for sure. But also he also beat Becker quite badly when Becker was sort of at the tail end of his career, like mid-90s in a Wimbledon final. But I remember Becker actually after getting the runners-up sort of plate, I think it is for the men, and he sort of just did I've never seen anyone do this before or since. He did a jog, a lap of honor, but he did it as a jog with his plate around center court. I mean, it took about 7 seconds because it doesn't take long to jog around center court. But also just the style and certainly Agassi was. If Agassi ever played him or Agassi was ever on a good run, that was the guy I was certainly a fan of. It was a lot more fun from the back of the court.
But look, some of the young guys that I play, or some folks I know are a little bit younger than me that enjoy tennis or got into it a little later, they have no memories of a pre-Big Three era, And I guess history is like that in many different ways, including outside of tennis. Jake Davies has a great question, John. I want to put it to you.
Yep.
What is Osaka missing now compared to when she's at the top of the sport? Is it several things, or is it something in particular?
Okay. Can I do Tsitsipas first? Just because
sure.
I've been thinking about the Tsitsipas one, and I'll try and think about Osaka.
It's your station. Answer any question you want or not. Yeah.
Anyway, even if it wasn't my station, I still more or less could do that anyway. But I know what you mean. So with Tsitsipas, I was thinking about the Tsitsipas one because he asked me about kind of cliche Tsitsipas questions without being too offensive, but just what can I think, and I'm going to read it out actually. What can Tsitsipas do? This is when he said, "Can I ask you a question?" in regards to his coaching situation, do you think it will always be a case of him being with his father? Do you think he has to accept being slightly more uncomfortable in finding a coach? I mean, I think there's a lot of personal stuff in there, and you're probably insinuating it with that question, Jake. And my initial reaction was, it's over to the father to finally have the courage to say to his son, look, you've got to go out there on your own. But then that could be tough love, which I think is what it is, I guess. And probably he's probably never done that, which possibly also explains some of the characteristics we see with Stefanos. And yeah, but then, loving father, and you're not going to say no to your son, really, I guess. So I've had this thought, this was all going through my head when Jake posed this question. But one of the two has got to have the courage. If the goal is to become a better tennis player, if it's not, then I guess fine, and just slide down the rankings and hopefully have a good time as you do so, and maybe still pick up a title or two over the next few years of your career. But I mean, I think he's already waved goodbye to winning a Grand Slam because of some of these decisions. But I also think, because he is a competitive beast, it's what got him to very close to the top of the game in the first place, and very close to world number one in the beginning of 2023. He just had to beat Novak Djokovic at the Australian Open.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah, that's all he had to do on Rod Laver, which just happened like once in about 3 billion years. And but I think he does want it. So what do you want more? And clearly in his 10 years of his professional career, or best part of 10 years, he's obviously wanted more, to have this fatherly thing. I guess feeling good is a good thing, but it'll only get you so far. And I don't think it's just forehands and backhands. I still think that we've seen things with the father, and and the father's influence in terms of, like, it's not just Goran Ivanisevic, by the way. It's Mark Philippoussis was the right person for the team, brings him on board alongside the father, but eventually the father's going to take a back seat, and Philippoussis is going to be my main coach. A few weeks later, that was decided that wasn't the right thing, so he's out. Then a few months later, Philippoussis is back. Then a few months later, or a few weeks later, he's gone again. And then there's another point when he says, "It's so what's the truth? What? They can't all be." I guess you could say it's how he was feeling at the time. Anyway, I'm not really answering the question, because I just don't think there is an answer anymore. I just hope that that obviously he wants to be happy, and I think this is what's making him happy. I just don't think it's going to help him win big titles, which I also think he wants to do. So it's such a conundrum that I'm not really answering the question. I would, if I was the father, I would find a way of, because I don't think it's not cruel to tell your son, I'm not going to be your tennis coach, because I think long term this will make you happy. It's cruel to say, if he's knocking on the door and it's raining, and say, nope, you can't sleep here tonight. Maybe that's cruel. But saying, look, the father clearly has never said this. I think for your career, it's much better if I stay away. So
you know why Tsitsipas was never and will never be number one? Because, man, he won't fire his dad. And you know what? Neither would I. There's nothing that, there's no goal for me worth firing my dad over. Not my dad. It doesn't work for me. He never has. He never will. But in this hypothetical, I wouldn't fire my dad. It's my dad, right? And I think that's like the normal default human behavior. But if you want to be the best in the world at something, you have to make great sacrifices, like Lance Armstrong did, for example. And Tsitsipas is not willing to go that extra step. And I get it, because like the talk is his dad has to step out. He has to gracefully step away. He has to do the right thing for his son. But if Tsitsipas was truly and entirely committed, he would have done it years ago. And it's sad, and it sucks. And it would have been a terrible Thanksgiving, or whatever they do for, whatever Greek Thanksgiving is. But, he doesn't have that last little bit. And it's, again, like, to be number one in the world in something, you do have to be a little bit of a jerk. You have to be willing to sacrifice your relationship with your father to get there, if that's that last little bit you need.
I agree with, you wouldn't fire your father. Of course you wouldn't, especially if, livelihoods depend on it. And that's a very serious thing. we don't have to worry about the whole financial element. We're assuming to their livelihoods and everything else. They're all going to be fine for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
But I will throw this in, which is, I worked for my father, okay, for a few years, and it was not great. Let me say that.
Doing what?
I was initially working in the office answering phone calls for a taxi firm that he owned. And there was also in the end minibuses as well, so it was sort of a transport thing, if you like. But basically, I would take the phone call because it was a mini cab thing. It wasn't like black cabs; it was a mini cab. So, hi, can I have a taxi from A to B in 20 minutes? Or I would make occasionally a mistake because it was all pen and paper back then. This is 25 years ago.
Yeah,
it would be pen and paper, and we had these big books, but they weren't a 24-hour clock. So sometimes people would say, "I would like a taxi to go to Gatwick Airport on the 13th of June at 5 in the morning." And on occasion, I did put it in for 5 in the afternoon because the pages would be blank, especially 2 or 3 months in advance. And because it was the 12-hour clock on the book, sometimes I would turn a page too many, or I would turn a page. Now you'd think, John, and of course I did it. I got it right in the end. But anyway, that was one of the mistakes I used to make. And I remember making it more than once. And that was very much frustrating for my father. But that's cut long story short. It did not work. Now, the reason why it's relevant to this in particular is because on 1 or 2 occasions over the last 10 years, my father has wanted to work together on certain things. And I'm just like, no, because it's going to make me miserable and it just won't work. So go and find someone else to do this in a way.
Yes.
It's not costing him his livelihood, nor me either, and so on and so forth. It's just not working and not making me happy. Now, I guess Tsitsipas would say he's happier with his father. Well, yeah. Anyway, Naomi Osaka, what do you think about this Osaka question that Jake's also posed? I'm more than happy to address it first if you want a bit of time to think about it.
I'll get into it. The one thing that I promise every time I show up is I will have opinions fast. They might be wrong and harebrained, but I will have them, and they'll be right there. And so with Osaka, I think that a thing that is in all sports, players are constantly improving, right? And there might be years, there might even be a decade every now and then where a small dip happens, but over time, players get better. And I think that Naomi Osaka, unfortunately for her, she took some time off. She dealt with some injuries in a period in which the pace of improvement is faster than we've seen in many, many years, right? Like the level that the resting level of top 100 player, it's crazy high right now on the women's side. It's across the board, right? And so I think the baseline level went up. Players at rankings that she would have expected to cruise against when she was at the peak of her game, hey, look, they're giving her a run for her money, and sometimes they're beating her now. And then not only that, I think the top players, Sabalenka, my goodness, has she taken a leap? Like Iga, look at what she did to Anisimova on grass in the finals. She's still got that level. Rybakina is still next level. Schneider, Andreeva, we're waiting for they're there, but we're still waiting for them to break through. And so take Naomi Osaka out of it entirely. Everybody else got better. And that's, of course, something she's got to contend with. And then on top of that, look, my wife and I are expecting our first child in October. It is a joyous, wonderful, exciting, terrifying thing. It also takes a toll on the body of the person carrying the child. It is hard. It interrupts your training. In fact, you just can't train. The recovery time, it's longer than people realize. It impacts you in ways, far beyond what you just kind of think. And you read about this stuff, you're like, oh my goodness, the load that somebody has to bear when they're having a child is brutal. And so she's had all of these different things kind of going on at once. And so I think to go to Jake's question, it's not just one thing, it's many things. And I think, however, the thing that right now I believe is holding her back, it's her confidence and her fitness. She's not world-class fit yet because she hasn't had enough court time. She hasn't been back in the groove long enough. She hasn't adjusted to her new physical realities. And you can tell that she's lost her confidence. That the press conference where she said, I just don't have a single good thing to say about myself right now or about my game right now. It was heartbreaking. It was so sad because, look, she didn't even play a bad match, but that's the headspace that she's in. And so, she's got to get her fitness up a little bit. But to me, the biggest thing is that lack of confidence. John, what do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? What I miss?
I was very keen to go down one of the paths that you explored, let's say, and so in a way you've taken that away from me. But
Sorry.
no, it's totally fine because I said no. I wanted you to go first because I needed this time out as well to just have a quick look at something. I'm not sure you can hear me typing right now because I'm looking at something that I think is pretty significant. That I felt something. You then elaborated on it, and now I want to bring maybe something extra to the table, which is about the level of opponents. So if I think about who she's beating in these Grand Slam wins, now I know everyone's going to shout from the rooftops right now, Serena Williams 2018, but I think Serena, that was in one of the finals, I think, when Serena's on a run of Grand Slam final losses, which I'm going to guess her last one was Wimbledon 2019, but I could be wrong with that. But Serena lost basically, I think, the last 2, 3, 4 Grand Slam finals that she played as she was desperately trying to draw level with Margaret Court. And on that run, by the way, this is 2018 US Open, Osaka played Tsurenko in the quarterfinals, Sabalenka in the round of 16, but this is 5 years before Sabalenka is the Sabalenka we know today, or 4.5 years, I would say, because 2022, she still wasn't quite there, as we saw in Sabalenka losing in the semifinals. So this is super. And by the way, it went 3 sets, but yeah, so she wins. This is her run that year. She beats Lauda Sigmund in the first round. She beats someone called Glushko in the second round. She beats Sasnovich 6-love, 6-love in the third round. So now she's in the second week of the US Open in 2018. And what lies in front of her is Sabalenka, who would have been super, 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 super young. And it was a super tight 3-setter. Tsurenko, she beats 1-1. And then the names in the semifinal and final are huge. If maybe more in Serena's case, at least reputation. She beats Madison Keys, followed by Serena Williams. Okay. You deserve every single Grand Slam you ever win, and that's from Sofia Kenin through to Michael Stich. Don't care who you are, you deserve it. You win 7 matches across 2 weeks. Congratulations. And she only dropped 1 set en route. And by the way, she's won 4 of them now as well. By the way, I also think part of her issue is that it's on a hard court. If she was unbelievable on the natural surfaces, let's say like Alcaraz, she may well have got more than just the 4 Grand Slams. And by the way, 4 Grand Slams isn't bad. But I also
first ballot Hall of Fame. Absolutely.
Right. Absolutely. I also have a look at some of her other runs, for example, in Australia 2020. US Open again 2020. That was the COVID year. She beats Kostyuk in 3 sets in the third round. She beats Georgie in the second. Kontaveit in the round of 16. I think Kontaveit never really had a super deep run at a slam, or certainly not semis or the final. Shelby Rogers in the quarterfinal. Jen Brady was good. And by the way, Jen Brady's going to come up again because it was someone who she faced in, I think, the Australian Open final. But if you're going to win a Grand Slam, Jen Brady, who I really rate as a tennis player, her peak is great. But across 3 sets and across 2 weeks, I think eventually she does get found out. And she did in both Australia and the US by Naomi Osaka in these super, super key moments. So she beats Brady in the semifinal. She beats Azarenka in the final. That's Azarenka's last Grand Slam final, I think. And again, we're looking at where was Azarenka in 2020 compared to, say, 5 or 6 years before. Definitely, you'd rather play Azarenka in 2020 than you would do in 2012, 2014, or whatever her peak was. Doesn't mean she doesn't deserve to have to, but it also can help us explain why hasn't she got a 5th or a 6th or a 7th, along with, by the way, the pregnancy and the confidence and everything else. But then I also look at, I think, so Jen Brady was a finalist in Australia. You know, I think I've done quite a bit on this. I don't want to go too much. You know, her run to winning the Australian Open in 2019 was Svitolina, Pliskova, and Kvitova in the final 3 rounds in 2019. Again, really, really, really super, super capable opponents. None of them ever won a Grand Slam. So she's won the 2019 title without beating a previous Grand Slam champion, albeit some really capable opponents. And Svitolina, who knows, might end up getting it. So that's my gut feeling, was that she won every slam, but it wasn't like she beat peak Serena followed by, you know, peak Sharapova back to back or something crazy like this. Then throw in the competition. Then throw in the fact that her best surface is hard courts, and that's where the competition is stiffest, particularly on the women's side, I think. Because you got, okay, you might say that Igor on clay, but if you lose Igor on, I mean, if she was a grass court queen, Naomi probably would have won a couple of Wimbledons by now, as well as her 4 hard courts. But she's never adapted to the natural surfaces, and I think clay in particular, she never will. So you're already halving your chances, and then the competition with now is stiffer, I think, right now than it was. I think that the women's tour, in terms of strength in depth, that top 20, that top 10, is better right now than it has been for probably 5 or 10 years, despite what some people might suggest.
I agree. And look, it's great for the game. The reason that Naomi Osaka is having a hard time getting back into it is ultimately, when you zoom out, an amazing thing for tennis, which is the level is awesome right now. I mean, the amount of matches, the amount of round 1 matches, I find myself being like, ooh, should try and make time for that for today, higher than at any previous point in my lifetime. We have so many different varieties of game. We have so many different characters and personalities. We have so many fun matchups. We have multiple eras, that are playing all at the same time. It's an awesome time to be a tennis fan. On that note, John, forgive me. I do have to go back to work, but I just want to say to you, to the entire Talking Tennis team, it's an amazing community. You've done something good. About to hit 20K followers. By this time next year, throw a 0 on that, and Damien's flying first class to America for a challenger swing.
Great. Thanks very much, Zach. Wonderful that you could stop by as well today. And we're going to keep going for another hour or two. So, stay tuned. Thanks very much, Zach.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye. So, as I said, we're going to stay live for another hour or two. I actually have a video I would like to play that I'm going to play now, and I'll probably play it again at the end of the show. And it's a little bit about the last 3 years, but you're going to have to bear with me while I download and upload this. And I think you're going to enjoy it. It's about 10 minutes long, so don't be going anywhere. Let me just find the video now. This is going to take me, by the way, 2 or 3 minutes. So keep an eye on those tennis scores. I see that we're going to a third set with LEHECKA and FILS. And there was something else as well. Is Rublev going to a third set? I haven't even checked the tennis scores lately. Yeah, Rublev and Sonego are also going to a third set. And I see LEHECKA and FILS are on serve. So let's see if I can get this. Oh, by the way, I'm going to answer your question, Ghosty. I don't know if this is said tongue in cheek, but no, I'm not saying that at all, because I think Raducanu's run also, it's incredible. But, she didn't have to beat Igor or Arena or who would have been 2021? Ash Barty. I think she went at Shelby Walsh, didn't she, Ash Barty, that year? The draw opened up, and she took advantage of it. And I still think she is, on her day, capable of some elite stuff. And in terms of whether she'll ever win a slam again, I'm 50-50 on it. I move a few percent every now and again, but this year's we've seen some encouraging stuff. Okay, let's see if I can get this video up and played. Let's see. Okay, not yet. Yeah, it's still downloading. Ash Barty was so good indeed. Do we think she'll ever come back? I think no, but... Oh, as I said, Azarenka, I thought I might annoy you, actually, Jake. Let me see. What's you, Azarenka? Be careful talking about Azarenka. Yeah, I know. What's your have you got a question about her? Oh, okay. I'm pretty content with some of the matchups, Jake. Yes, I would think more something like Barty Swiatek. Yeah, I think that's probably the one. Osaka Sabalenka, by the way, is one that we still can see from time to time. And Osaka, by the way, I would, again, if I'm 50-50 on Emma winning a slam again, I'm 50-50 on Naomi. Naomi could win Canada. She's in the 4th round now. So, okay, Canada's not a slam, but there's no Sabalenka there, for example, but I wouldn't say never to either Emma Raducanu or Osaka. I think a good question would be which one's more likely to add to their slam haul. Maybe Emma. I think Emma probably because A, she's younger, and B, I would think of her as a contender across 3 slams rather than 2. I'd throw in Wimbledon as a possibility one day. Can you imagine the British getting very giddy about that? So yeah, but I don't lament it because I think there's just so many good matchups. And the thing is with Naomi is it's not like she's gone. There are still that. I mean, we saw Naomi play that unbelievable match against Iga Swiatek last year at the French Open. Me too. Yeah, I mean, you can never have too many. So this is regarding Andreescu, by the way. But yeah, Emma playing very well right now. Yeah, okay, guys, don't go anywhere because I think you're going to enjoy this video. Okay, and I'm going to play it for you right now.
Play.
Oh, cool. So here we are. I don't have any gizmos. I don't have any colors. I don't have any music yet. This is my first show. I barely even have a name, but for now it's Talking Tennis. And I'm really pleased to have on Owen Lewis of Popcorn Tennis, who...
You're like the Wizard of Oz. People really don't know. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We've lost John. See? These things happen. And I believe it's pronounced John Syelk. John Syelk, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, no. Well, anyway, I got to tell you guys, John's a good dude. He is. And it's awesome that he provides this resource and gives you the opportunity to get the inside scoop on some of the backstories regarding the sport of tennis. And I wish him all the best. As it says on the screen, hit the like button on this episode and subscribe to the channel so that you can hear from more idiots like me. Oh, what other characters and voices do you do, Andy? Well, there was this sport called Letway. There he is. Hey,
Andy,
hey, John.
That was a technical issue.
I know. I was entertaining myself, and
I'll see if I can maybe use that or salvage it. I'll let you know later. It
says it was still recording. So
yes, and we are still recording, which is good. That was my primary panic, was that the recording would have ended, but luckily we weren't live. Behind me is the centre court here in Werash. As you can see, a rain-sodden Werash at the moment, and play today is questionable, let's say, because of that. And it's been a rain-hit tournament, including Alex Ayala's first round match, which was, of course, spread over 2 days. Waiting for my camera to blow over. Don't worry. I'm fine. Yeah, good. I didn't notice you. Yeah, that was not intentional. See you soon.
I will say...
Wee.
Oops.
It's okay. We'll do that question again, if that's okay. Cool. All right. Yeah, so toughest opponent, you would say?
I will say...
If I'm healthy and I can play the level I'm playing, or if I want to play the level I'm playing, and I'm 35, 36, I think for me it would be good enough. Yeah, because I would love to carry on different things in life, you know.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, hopefully... So
No way, this was actually Neil Skapski, by the way.
What's this? Something about Neil Neil Skapski is probably used to it. Well, I didn't get that one. Sorry.
Neil Skapski showed up in the chat, yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. There was someone called Neil Skapski in the chat, was there?
On these Polish streams, I sometimes do. Zizhen Zhang would show up from time to time. I don't think it was actual Triple Z.
Listen, it probably wasn't Neil Skapski, but if it was, then they've done, or if it wasn't, sorry, they've done their homework because he is a Liverpool fan.
And yeah, Neil Skapski would also be suggesting Luke Johnson, of course, for a fellow Brit.
Brazy is convinced it's the real Neil Skapski. Jake is asking if it's the real Neil Skapski. Yeah, could be. I mean, if you're gonna fake being someone, then you're probably not going to choose Skapski, but then that's probably a good one to choose as a result.
Why wouldn't you choose Skapski?
You wouldn't choose him because you go for a big one. You know, why not be Martin? Yeah, but I mean, like in the world of tennis.
If it's the real Neil Skapski, now you kind of
be annoyed at that, as well as the Man United hat. I'm going to have to go on a big apology towards him, and yeah, I'm not big. He says, yeah, there you go. Neil, if it's you, you're huge, but I'm still thinking that Neil, you're not Boris Becker. That's the one you got to choose, or Martina Navratilova, or Steffi Graf. In the single
I'm
side.
sorry, Neil. I think top 20. Well, former number one doubles. Like you're still big.
You're big, but
you're big to me. You're big to me.
But we still don't know if it's. And by the way, we're not going to get the truth out of Neil anyway, because if it's him, he's going to go, yeah, it's me. I'm the real Neil Skapski. And if he's not telling the truth and it really isn't Neil Skapski, he's going to go, yeah, it's me.
We'll never know, unless he like.
Well, no, here's how we'll know, Neil. If you are the real Neil Skapski, send me a DM on Instagram or on Twitter, and then we'll know. Neil's officially a friend of the show.
Yeah, friend of the show, Neil Skapski, actually. Yes.
Or maybe the first enemy of the show, arguably, given the hat and the Liverpool.
Given what you said about him not being big, probably.
Yeah. I've got a development. I've got a development in the Neil Skapski story. So the real Neil Skapski has definitely joined us on Instagram. So,
wow.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he joined, because on Instagram you can sort of see, obviously, who they are, and he's got the blue tick and everything. So,
and what is that interesting thing?
I'm guessing it's in response maybe to something I said, like about, I think I'd go for a Becker or a Graf if I'm going to fake it. Anyway.
Wow. Okay, I'm actually kind of shocked.
I'm surprised that Neil, being a Liverpool fan, has tuned in to Diego Forlan, given what obviously happened between Liverpool and Manchester United in 2003. She's going to be under pressure here at Love 15. So, Siegerman here, Love 15 on her serve.
Ready? Play.
one in English. The draw for the French Open was made today. You're going to be playing Kalinskaya.
Oh. I just said I don't want to know.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out. Gone out. Ah, I'm back. Sorry, Scott. I had a few technical issues. How are you? Oh, you're on mute. I think that's me who put you on mute as well. Hey, how you going? All right?
Yeah, not so bad. How are you?
Yeah, good. You made me all a bit sad yesterday reading your tweet about Andy Murray saying
Listen,
tennis is not the same.
It's been it's been a year. It's been a year, man. And like I've kind of been thinking about it a little bit. Like, you know, my interest in tennis, I will say, it hasn't dropped off as much as I thought it would.
Me neither, Scott. I thought it would have dropped off a cliff, but no,
think?
you're still having fun with Alcaraz and Sinner and a few other
Alcaraz and Sinner.
storylines.
Bublik, I'm big on him at the moment. I enjoy Bublik.
Okay.
I'm enjoying Bublik, especially after seeing him in person at Wimbledon in that first round loss. It was great fun. Great fun.
Yeah, that's so Bublik, by the way. That's so on brand, isn't it? To win Haller and then go out first round.
Very much on brand. But you know what? Even just recently, though, like in the last, like,
I'm just being interrupted, by the way, by some
No, you're good.
9-year-olds.
Oh, you good?
Hi.
Hi, yeah. How you doing?
This is
How are you?
live on Talking Tennis.
Hello.
Hi, yeah. How you doing? You okay?
Hello.
Say hello.
Hello.
Say
Hello.
Scott.
Hello.
Scott.
Scott is
Hi,
in
yeah.
Scotland.
How you doing?
Scotland.
Have you been to Scotland?
My team is 4 is in Scotland.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. She speaks some English, but now she's decided to switch to German.
She speaks very good English. Listen, she speaks fantastic.
By the way, she went, and maybe
You know
that's
what?
the most intellectual
That's-
thing we've had said on Talking Tennis ever.
That's the sort of reactions that I just get, to be honest, John. Like that's, I'm used to that. I'm used to that.
Your
So don't worry
Bublik
about it.
comments clearly didn't go down very well.
Clearly so, not accepted that well. Not accepted that well. So yeah, it's no, but like, yeah, genuinely though, like even like in the last like few months and stuff, like I've been getting more engaged with tennis again, which is good.
Okay.
It's good. It's good for me, you know. Been enjoying it a little bit more. Been watching a lot of women's tennis as well. Really been enjoying the women
Who
as
are
well.
some of your favorite players on the women's side, by the way?
Definitely at the moment, really become a huge, like really quite big, like Raducanu fan.
Okay.
I'm kind of getting invested in her, and you know, it's interesting because she's not like obviously as like an Andy Murray fan, there was obviously a little bit of kind of, you know, controversy regarding that at Wimbledon like last year, right? So yeah, some Murray fans still haven't really kind of, you know,
Oh, I
forgiven her for
see. Yeah, I
dropping out
forgot
that
about
doubles
that.
match. You remember? You remember that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think that
So
was fans because I don't think Andy and I'm guessing here because I've never heard either. I don't think Andy and I think did Judy say something or that got people sort of excited?
maybe tweet something, but
Yeah,
it was.
but there was
I don't know, I
nothing
feel
in
like
it really.
it got blown out of proportion a little bit, I feel, and it was. But just recently, like I've just been watching more of her matches. She's just got a really quite engaging game to me that I really enjoy watching. And her story is always fascinating. And like the big thing about it for me is that I can't not get back on like the train of her because I just don't know. You know, you don't know when she's next going to win one. Do you know what I mean? Or she might not. She might never win one. But you don't know.
I'm gonna give you a question. There's this question from Jake, and I want you to answer this, Scott. But I've got a question for you, and it's tennis related first, and
Sure.
that is this: Are you also a Naomi Osaka fan, by the way, or just
big Osaka fan for sure? Yeah, big Osaka
okay.
fan.
Which if one is going to win another Grand Slam, Osaka or Raducanu, which one do you think? Not which one do you want, but which one do you think it will be?
That's super interesting because I feel like you know, if you'd asked me this like a couple of weeks ago or whatever, like I might have said, you know what, I'm more inclined to say Raducanu just because just because she's got so much more time ahead of her. Like, you know, Osaka's 27 now, which is crazy to think. You know, she obviously missed the season to go and have a child, but I think even in the last you know, even like this week, especially not to put all eggs in one basket, you don't know how things will change, but I'm liking what I'm seeing from Osaka. The problem with her is that Osaka is like, you know, she's got to find a bit more variety in her game. She just relies so much on like how hard she hits the ball, which is great, but you do need more dimensions to it than that. And players have kind of worked out how to play against that kind of game style. Obviously, since she's came back as well, she's not always been like.
What is all this analysis? It's like you've gone away for 6 months and ate a few tennis books. And
what can I say? I'm getting right back into it. What can I say? Usually it's just Murray, but it's been a year now.
I know.
Had to diversify the content. But for Jake, for Jake,
you've evolved. You've evolved as a tennis, you know, person. Let's say a social media expert whatever. I don't know what we all are really in a way. A tennis observer, let's say.
We're all just along for the ride, John.
Yeah, I know. There's a question here for you from Jake, by the way. I don't know if you've seen it. Have you always had a thick skin to this sort of stuff on social media, or is it, or what is it? I mean,
yeah, like I think it's quite interesting because I think like especially like in like the early days, like I think if you went back and like viewed some of my really early tweets, like from like when I, you know, because I did that classic thing with Twitter where like I got Twitter in like 2011 and then didn't use it for like years and years, and then came back but like when I came back, I was just like tweeting like random rubbish, like random stuff about tennis, but it was just like, you know, whatever was coming through my mind. But like, you know, as you know, I've been kind of lucky enough to like gain some followers on there. Obviously, you do realize like how like, you know, certain things can maybe come across. I do tend to enjoy it though. I will say I do tend to enjoy like riling people up a little bit about stuff.
Yeah,
like you know when you tweet something out, you're like, I know this might bait some people. I do like baiting people now and then, but I will say like, I have blocked some people for sure, especially like some regulars like that, like drop into like my replies, like that can be really brutal. But you know, it's the internet. It's what you sign up for, right? So it's part and parcel for sure. I don't let it get to me as much, but
I don't think I've ever blocked anyone. I don't think.
Have you not really? You've never blocked
I don't
anyone?
think so. And I've only ever blocked one person in my life on WhatsApp as well. I know
Oh,
who that
really?
person.
Interesting.
They did push it to the
Interesting.
absolute limit.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I've been blocked for sure, but
oh, for sure. Oh my gosh, that's something because of how Twitter works now. Because you can
Yeah.
see like when you come across like replies like to other tweets, and you're like, why can't I reply to this person? And you know straight away.
Yeah,
like,
right.
And sometimes it's just random people.
Yeah,
It's just
you're
random people
right.
you've never heard of before. You're like, wow, I must have done something to like annoy them. A lot of the time though, with me, I'm like, 100% it's going to be like a Yannick Sinner fan because I've
Yeah.
linked on him,
I've
or like
seen-
a Zverev fan, or do you know what I mean? Like, or maybe
I've
just
seen
somebody who
that,
gets
yeah.
really annoyed by Andy Murray chat. To be fair, so
I've seen that by certain, not quite super random accounts, but it's an
Yeah.
account and it's got a picture of Sinner or Swiatek or whoever, and something, maybe there's a thing where I've tried to respond, or I've seen a tweet that says, yeah, I didn't like their take on the Sinner case, or
sure.
By the way, we've got like 40 different, if I include you, Scott, as someone who's probably on here not quite as often, but if I include people like yourself, we have about 39 people in the WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
And if you also throw in a few other guests that are not in there, you could say we have 50 people that are on the show at least once a year.
For sure.
And we all have, let's take the Sinner case. I bet we've all got slightly different nuanced opinions on that.
100%. 100%.
So yeah, and same with Swiatek, and maybe not so much the band that she had, but just maybe her playing style or who your favorite players are. We've got so many. So yeah, but I have seen. Oh, we didn't like their conclusion, and I get it. Iga, I think Iga maybe has filled in terms of the fandom.
Yeah,
for me, has filled a slight chasm, if that's not a contradiction. That because Djokovic doesn't quite divide opinion nowadays as much as he did 3, 4, 5 years ago. Certainly when the big three were all active, let's say. And also, of course, around the COVID time and everything else. And so actually, I don't find that fandom necessarily the most venomous. I actually find the Iga ones are just wild.
Oh, do you? Really?
Yeah.
Really? That's super interesting. Is there like, I mean, I obviously see them, but like, as somebody who maybe doesn't engage with Iga as much as some other people, like I didn't realize that's the thing. Like you never know like which audience you're getting involved with when you tweet out about a certain player. If you're not,
I mean, the thing is, it's also YouTube for us as well. So I've been accused of both being an obsessive fan of hers and also being a hater.
A classic. Yeah, but that's when you know that you're doing. That's when you know you're
doing okay.
Yeah.
And I say good things and not so good things about certain things regarding Iga Swiatek. The way she's managed, for example, in particular, I think is frustrating for me as a tennis fan. But then in terms of her game, oh, by the way, if she's not playing well and she wasn't playing great, especially on clay, which is her domain, I'll say it. If I don't think she's going to win Wimbledon, I'll say it. She goes and wins Wimbledon, and everyone's like, "Yeah, no."
There you go.
I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry, I just didn't. Was there anything we had seen in the previous 12 months regarding Iga Swiatek that suggested she was going to win Wimbledon? I know she got to the Bad Homburg final, but there was nothing, and yet here we are.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it. Like tennis surprises you, right? You can make a prediction, then you're like, oh god. No.
Predictions. And by the way, when it comes to predictions, everyone wants to hear your prediction, and then they're very keen to tell you when you get it wrong. The thing is, we kind of don't really know. We're sort of semi-guessing.
Yeah.
We kind of do. Sometimes you really do. I thought yesterday, Casper Ruud, your best friend, was gonna. I just couldn't see him not beating Nuno Borges, and I also said it quite confidently. He's gonna do it in straights, and he did it. But yeah, how are you and Casper getting on these days? By the way,
to be fair, like me and Casper, the problem with Casper, like my issue with Casper Ruud is that like I don't like. I tell you what, like I think the last Casper Ruud match I really watched was that final. Where was it? Madrid, was it against Draper?
By the way, let me tell you this: I want him to win that final.
You wanted Casper to win that final. Yeah. Because that's the thing, John. You're not actually that big on Draper, are you? You're not that big on him.
I'm not.
No. Spill. Come on. Why are you
I'm just not. I just there's the whole sort of LTA thing and his silver spoon and maybe some other comments he said about people that he would love to have dinner with and who he respects.
Sure,
And by the way, I probably was. Let's go as far back. Not that long ago. Like Davis Cup 23. I was probably bigger on him as not in terms of his abilities and talents, but as a player to watch and maybe even support. I remember watching him lose to Kecmanovic there in the Davis Cup and probably wanting him and Britain, of course, to win that tournament. But I also, Scott, I don't really care in tennis, especially, but even sport in general nowadays. I don't really care about England or Britain or whatever. In tennis, I haven't really done since the 90s. I did, like Tim Henman and all the rest of it, but I haven't really cared about nationality since the 90s in tennis. And it isn't, and also take Formula One or other sports like that, individual sports. When it comes to the national team, I did used to support England. It's really weird. And now I try, Scott. I try, but I don't feel it. I went to the
you don't feel the passion. No?
I don't feel it. If you say to me, John, who do you want to win, England or Spain? I'll say England, but I don't feel it like I did in the 90s and the 2000s when tears would be rolling down my cheeks as we lost the Euro 96 semi-final to the Germans on penalties again, and so on and so forth. I don't feel that anymore, but I do about my club. You're a football fan, right?
I'm not really a football fan.
Okay.
Sorry to say, bizarrely I can see, like, from my flat, I can actually see Old Trafford.
Oh wow!
Because
of course you're in Manchester.
It's just over there. Yeah, I am in Manchester currently. So yeah, it's just over there. So,
you can see it crumbling.
Yeah, I actually went to visit because my brother's quite a big fan. So when he came down to visit, he went and did the experience, the tour around. So yeah, I did go see it, but I'm not somebody who's like hugely invested in it, to be fair. But
anyway, yeah. So that's I don't know how you feel about. I mean, obviously Andy Murray's Scottish and all that, but okay. What about? I think you're a Jack Draper fan, right? I guess his friendship with Andy contributes to that.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I will say though, I will like I'm not. I've tried to frame this before to a few people. Like, I certainly don't mind him. I don't mind him. I maybe actually, like, in a way, like, especially this year with his win in Indian Wells, obviously, like, I will feel that maybe I've actually overrated him a little bit, like, especially earlier on in the year, like, and like the more that I've watched, he's obviously incredible. He's obviously incredible, but like, I don't, like, so many people are thinking, oh, like, he's, absolutely going to win a Wimbledon. Like, the more I watch of him, the more I'm like, I'm not sure. Like, he might well get like a US Open, but like, it is the pressure of handling Wimbledon that might get to him. But yeah, I don't know though. Like, it's interesting because, like, even like my friend Peter, obviously I think he's maybe, like, he does a bit of talk tennis as well, but like, I do the podcast with him. He's obviously American, but he actually, like, quite buys into the whole, like, back the Brits, hashtag back the Brits. Whereas I'm not that way inclined, to be honest. With Andy, it was different because Andy is, like, literally, like, I don't know, like, he was literally from like half an hour away from me, and he is like the most Scottish guy that you could, like, if you were to paint a Scottish athlete, you'd paint Andy Murray. He is just, and so it very much felt like, it was me out there playing. Do you know what I mean? So it's a little bit different with him, but like with other Brits, I'm not that way inclined. Although, we have just spent, a little bit talking about Raducanu, which obviously, she's British as well.
So, but with Raducanu, you say it's the game style, but
game style 100% is more, way more inclined. And her story is so much more fascinating to me than the fact that she's from Britain. So it's her storyline that I really like, and to see if she can maybe, get a title at some point, even if it's not made, or like even how her career is going to go and develop. That's much more fascinating to me than the fact that she's British. Like, in fact, that doesn't really cross my mind when I watch her, to be fair. So
if we did more stuff on Emma, we still do plenty, considering, where her ranking is. We probably, she's probably in the top 20 number of mentions on her in YouTube and videos that are dedicated to her and moments, if you like. But she's still way exceeding her. She's not Alex, but I don't know if you know this Alexialo explosion, Scott, by the way.
I have been, you know what though? Like, she's one person that I haven't really watched a huge amount of her, to be fair. I have seen her popular.
We kind of have to watch her, basically. She's basically playing a 1-2-5 or, in Ilkley or whatever. And we'll do a watch along and we'll have like 150 Filipinos join us. And it's
that's phenomenal, though. That's great. That's what you want, right?
It's a wild thing, but it is what it is. But I'm not, honestly, I still, of course, there is a part of me that wants her to win tennis matches, especially like when she lost to Krejcikova, I was thinking, that's a few hundred subscribers gone down. Because she, honestly, if she got to the second week at Wimbledon we'd have another,
incredible, right?
not even joking, we'd have another 500 subscribers.
And
so
so
on and
100%.
so forth.
That's what we
Before
want,
she
though, right?
wins.
That's what we want.
Yeah.
It's interesting though, like going back to like Raducanu. I do feel like she is 100% like the like if you talk the most if you talk like the most controversial like men's tennis player, you're looking at like Djokovic and Sinner, right? For different
Yeah.
reasons. And then on the women's side, it's got to be Raducanu, right?
It is.
Like,
So
definitely
what I wanted to say, Scott, is if she was getting even closer, let's say, so she could easily be probably in our top 10 mentions. Just I'm talking about YouTube more than social media.
For sure.
If she was, let's say, a top 10 player, she'd probably be number one. But it's just because I know how she and you get what you get with her and Iga as well. The reason why I mentioned Iga is because we do a lot more stuff on Iga because of how successful. But she gets a lot of hate as well, which is possibly one of the reasons maybe why. Like, if you just say something about Emma Raducanu, if you just say, I think Emma Raducanu's got a chance at the US Open, which is the most
you'll get
tweets.
Yeah, you'll get a lot. You'll get a lot.
In fact, because it's X, 80% of people will just get really angry with you.
100%. But like that's what's fascinating about her, right? It's that she generates that kind of interest just because of her story. I'm actually not to plug anything, but I'm actually writing an article on it right now because I just think she's a fascinating example of like, like luck in tennis. Like luck in tennis is thrown around a lot as quite an insult, but like she made the most of the luck that she had to win that US Open, and now she's suffering the consequences of it. So I don't know. It's I just find her kind of tale, her story really like quite magnetic and quite interesting. So
you've got a piece on Popcorn right now as well.
There we go. Yeah. About this guy, right?
I mean, we had a question from
I appreciate it.
Jake earlier. Yeah, no problem. We had a question from Jake earlier, actually, on the question of or the topic of Tsitsipas. But do you want to just sort of give us a sort of brief synopsis of your piece?
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. Yeah, Tsitsipas is an interesting one because I think a few people actually like messaged me after I wrote this, or like replied very kindly. But the vast majority of responses, not that it was read a huge amount, but like got
they were correcting your typos, right?
Absolutely. Been going through like the thing is, John, there's grammar issues in there 100%. I'm terrible at grammar. But basically, like I have been one of those people who've kind of made fun of Tsitsipas. For sure, over the last like wee while. I've not always been like his biggest fan either at all. Like I wouldn't even say I am a big Tsitsipas fan now. But I do find his current like the last like year or so super intriguing. And then obviously the last few months as well. He just seems to be a kind of player like, and this is in this article. It's quite a lengthy piece, so I do appreciate if anybody does read it. But about he seems to like really not enjoy like taking risks and changing things up. Earlier this year he changed his racket and got quite a bit of success. I think he won his only title in Dubai. Was it Dubai?
Yeah, it was Dubai, I think. Yeah, 500 level anyway. It was in the Middle East.
Yeah, won that, and then very quickly changed his racket back when he made it to the clay surface because he was like, oh, I wanted to change back to something I knew. And it's like your form has been terrible since then. Like it's really not been good. So it's just not helping you. But like obviously he's went back to this Wilson racket, which is more familiar to him. And then obviously he like hires Ivanisevic and for like 56 days or whatever it is. And very quickly that goes wrong. And so obviously he's kind of, and I touch on this in this piece like towards the end, like it is easy to make fun of him for this, to like, be like, what are you doing? Like, this is why he'll never win a major, which I really don't think he will win a major. And I don't really see his fortunes reversing. However, I do think, it's also like a reflection of his like personality a little bit. He's obviously quite an emotional player, like who values like having his family around him, which is why he's working with his dad again, right? So even if it's not the best thing for him to be doing, as we can all look and see from the outset, right? Not knowing him at all, we're like, we could all be like, this is not what you should be doing, right?
Sure.
It's at least it's quite understandable why he's done it. It's quite understandable and like almost relatable, like for people who are lucky enough to have a home to go to with parents. It's quite an understandable decision that he's made, because obviously he's been through quite a rough few months as well. Obviously ended his relationship, long-term relationship with Dos as well. So it's been a rough time for him. So I think it's quite understandable that rather instead of like changing a coach, he would, you know, be like, right, I'm going to resort to something I know. My dad, he'll always be there. Will his dad coach him for the rest of his career? Maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure. I guess we'll see, right? But
I mean, it could be. You know, it could, because he might just be like, this is the easier one, and I know
100%.
it's going to be kind of okay, and
100%.
maybe I'll still win a couple more titles. Maybe I'll make a semi-final at a slam or something, you know.
Yeah.
But there's also a chance that the thing is, he says things with such conviction, and of course
He
we
does,
know
yeah.
the tweets he's capable of, you know, coming out with, which he's clearly just copied and pasted from some website that's coming out with clever things to say on social media or whatever, and he's still not aware of how people are like. Even if he is coming up with these, which I don't think he is, even if he is, I mean, it's probably like GreekPhilosophy.com or something
100%.
/ look smart.
100%.
And and he's not obviously got that self-awareness. But even if what was going to say, but then it could also be, so he says things with such conviction. But as Vange pointed out on X the other day, he's like, you know, I don't know, but what's the real thing? What's the 1 minute? It's this. I mean, people forget about Philippoussis. He messed around. I was going to use another way there. He messed around with Philippoussis for a while, as in like he's just joining the team right now, and then it's like, okay, he's full time. And by the way, my father's going to take it back. And then father comes, and Philippoussis came and went twice.
Yeah,
he was full on again 6 months later. And the thing is, he just lost one match super early. At least that was had the surface. I think he lost at the US Open, where he's always losing early anyway.
Yeah.
And he's firing him. And you're like, okay, what's the plan? So what is the plan? Okay, maybe now we have a plan, but it doesn't seem like there's been a plan for most of his professional career.
Yeah, I mean, I've been of the opinion for a while that he's never getting a major or anything. He's not, I would almost go as far as to say
4 years ago.
Would you be surprised to see him back in the top 10? I would be.
I would be a little bit surprised.
Top 20, I can see.
The thing is, Scott, though, you can just have a good clay season and you might get back in the top 10 if you like. And
yeah, maybe, for sure. Yeah, I suppose you can't really count him out, especially on the clay, I should say.
If he just has, you know, let's say he has a 25 in the world 9 months, but then he has a 5 in the world 2 months, that can still get you back in the top 10, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I suppose so.
But I know what you mean. You think
I just struggle to see where he like fits in. Do you know what I mean? Like, people know how to play him.
Yeah,
like,
they do. Yeah.
It's obvious you go to his backhand. Like 100% of the time, you go to his backhand, and he's so desperate to run around it all the time.
Yeah,
because his backhand it's easily the worst one-handed backhand that, you know, is in the top, what, like, you know, 50, I don't know, top 100 how many one-handed backhands there are, but not many.
Chapo, Musetti, but I put Chapo and Musetti well ahead of him. Yeah, Musetti especially.
100%. So yeah, it's like I don't like when you've got such a glaring weakness like that. Like, how do you cover up for it? Because obviously everyone's like, oh, but you look at Federer, he covered up his one-handed backhand. Federer's one-handed backhand was incredible, right?
Yeah, he didn't.
It was incredible.
Apart from against Rafa, it was great against everyone else. Rafa on clay, especially anyway. And even then, at least towards the end of his career, I mean, Rafa's been very complimentary about how Roger evolved. By the way, there's a question here. What is your general feeling or opinion of Evans? Is it mostly negative or positive? And Jake also expresses how he's grown to appreciate him over the years. What do you think, Scott?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not his like biggest fan, I will say. Like, just, you know, again, like maybe similar to how you feel with Draper John. Just some stuff that you said.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, stuff that you said questionably in the past. A little bit about like, I think like about like nationalities and stuff like that, and representing nationalities on Davis Cup team. Like, if you're not born in the country, you shouldn't, like, you know, semantics. I'm just like, I feel a bit icky like talking about it, but and like, but I haven't said that. Like, I love his play. Like, his play is fantastic to watch. Like, the slice backhand just slices like 90% of his backhand, right? So and even just in the last like year or so, obviously he played with Andy at the Olympics when it was easier to get on board with him for sure. And he's actually been getting a little bit of a kind of he's not afraid of giving his opinions on like things,
right, which is something. I mean, did you hear what he said about David Fokina? I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. What did you make of it, John? What did you make of it?
Well, the thing is, I like David Fokina, so that's the first thing.
Okay, yeah.
But
So
I
do
also
I.
like.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of him, especially after last week, that final. Like, one of my favorite matches of the year.
It's been growing for me for a year or two, but yeah, of course, with every heartache and every painful loss. And in fact, post Rafa, that's what I'm leaning on in terms of my favorite players. On Jabeur, for example, Mukova, any of these nearly players that have never won a. If I see Botic Van der Sandstrup in any sort of final, Jan Lennart Struff in this situation where he'd never won a title, he's now done it. He did it last year. But Struff, these sort of nearly players in their own world, it would be a 250 they're trying to win or a very much there. So David Fokina falls into that category, and I like him as well. He comes across pretty well, and all the rest of it. I saw his comment yesterday, and I must say my initial reaction was, he's probably got some frustration that we all probably sort of understand. I have some similar frustrations with them myself as well in terms of their honesty and all sorts of things. Anyway, so there's obviously a backstory there. It's not just what happened yesterday. However, Dan Evans and other people on social media do make a salient point that, there are others out there that, are doing, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and they're working in factories and they can't afford to live near the factory or whatever. So they're traveling and all the rest of it. So I do see that maybe David Fokina isn't quite aware of the bigger picture there. So I hope I'm not sitting on the fence too much, because I like both of these people and I think they're both making relevant points. And normally I'm unlike this way. I'm Evans. I will come out and say no, but I am also, well, I want to come back to Stefanos. I'm also very much a case by case person. Of course, I have my biases, no doubt about it, and they come through from time to time. And if I've made a prediction, that's a funny thing, by the way, Scott. It doesn't exist in other sports, but in tennis, if you make a prediction, you're watching that match and you're like, yes, come on. You don't give a two hoots about Felix, right? If you said the day before that Felix is going to win this, by the way, you're there and you wanted Felix to beat whoever is on the other side of that, and the other way around. The further the ego's going at Wimbledon, I am thinking, oh god.
Yeah,
right, exactly. Yeah, and then I kind of feared, not quite to the extent it would be, but when I saw the way Anna Simova was struggling with nerves in the quarters and the semis, now she got over the line there because she had a lead of sorts to hang on to, but I was fearing the worst of how she would handle it.
And you got served.
Yeah, right, exactly. So. But anyway, so what do you think of? Because actually, by the way, generally on Dan Evans, by the way, I am probably more on Jake's sort of train of thought in that I have become a big fan now, case by case. If he says something that's just stupid, if you like, and wrong, I'm probably more that 80% of the time he says good stuff and 20% of the time he says, in my opinion,
like I'm not. I won't say I'm like sold on him like a huge amount, but his game is enough for me to be intrigued when he plays for sure.
Yeah,
100%.
he's fun.
Going back to Davidovich Fokina, like like when I first read it, I was like, I can understand it, but then it's actually like if you read the comment, it's not like he's just talking about getting up 1 hour earlier. Is that what he's complaining about? Like it's 1 hour.
I think it's all
because he's complaining about his match starting at like 11, and then he's like, 11, the other matches start at 12. So I'm like,
12:30, I also
get up an hour earlier.
Tennis players, I remember this being talked about at Wimbledon, for example, about how early they could start the matches there, for example, and so on. And I've heard tennis players say, but it's not just a case of waking up at 10:45 and turning up on the court 11 o'clock kind of thing. The way it is a bit like if you ever do long distance runs, you have to wake up 3 hours, 4 hours before, so that way you can eat something and potentially digest it, and then maybe even eat something else, and then also maybe warm up and practice and so on and so forth. So 11 a.m. probably does mean a 7 a.m. start. Was he playing late the night before? I don't know.
Sure. I can't remember when he played.
I think he's got a bigger issue going on with.
I mean, the scores just flashed up there. He won today, right? So
yeah, he did. He got it. He got it done. Yeah, 6-4.
He won in straight sets. So clearly, it didn't bother him too much.
Menzik is a real good win.
Yeah, that is a good win. Yeah, Jacob Menzik. Yeah. I'm kind of like I can't.
Does it look like I'm in a photography studio? By the way,
a little bit, but it's nice. It's nice to see after the darkness before. It's nice.
Yeah,
it's
just
nice
looks like I'm
difference.
about to be processing
nice
some
difference
photos,
maker.
like really old school.
It looks good. It looks good. Good to see Rublev get a win here as well. Nice to see him.
Yeah, how do you
little
feel
bit
about
better.
Ruby in general as a
Yeah,
player?
100%. Yeah, I was impressed by his showing at Wimbledon against Alcaraz, taking a set, right?
Now Alcaraz, that's someone, and I'm with you on this. That's someone who you got a soft spot for, and I
Yeah, for
think
sure, dude.
from reading your tweets and your comments, it's not just for his brilliance, but it's also 1 minute he's losing to David Goffin, the next minute he's winning the French Open in the way he did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is fun.
Can I let you into a little secret though? Like I do love Alcaraz, do love him. I've admitted this to a few other people, right? But just because of how many people hate him, right? Just because of how many people hate him and don't like him, like there's something like, and I have very conflicting emotions about him, but there is something about Yannick Sinner that I'm kind of starting to slightly appreciate.
Oh, really? That is a surprise.
There is. It just like it's like when he's playing there, it's impressive levels of like do not care what anybody is thinking about me right now, right? Like the man just doesn't lose.
But it's like I mean, I go back as far as Sampras, and no doubt about the respect I had for him, and an unbelievable tennis player, and 14 Grand Slams, and the dominance at Wimbledon, and a legend of the sport by obviously. But did I ever like get excited like I did about watching him, like I did Agassi?
Yeah.
No.
True. Yeah. And like that's the thing. I'm never gonna be a huge fan of him, but there is just something like, and like, like, and like, unless you really want to go into the whole situation and getting the bans and stuff like that, like, yeah, I'll never forget it. I'll never forget that, it happened, that took place. Like that will always be in my head whenever, because he's going to go on and have a fantastic career, right?
Yeah,
but,
I think he's going to do okay, yeah.
Yeah, but it's not, I don't think it's actively going to like negatively like impact my enjoyment of like the matches that I watch that he's in. Do you know what I mean? I'm not like actively like, oh, he shouldn't be playing like or anything like that. Cause I'm actually maybe almost on the side of like, he's kind of served his time now. Like, and I know we can talk about semantics and what should be what and what should be when. But like nothing, his case now will never be changed. Like that will just be it. He has served his time. And like, yeah, we can have a debate about everything else and like talk about the changes that need to be made to the whole system to make it fair for other players. But in terms of just him, like he is now, what else can happen? Nothing else can happen for him specifically, right?
My frustration with all of this is not aimed at him, although of course, when you comment on it, fans of X, Y, and Z think that you're talking about their plan. My frustration is those that are running the sport and the authorities 100%. And the way it was manhandled, and also the way we were just lied to. I mean, 100%. In the case of it, so again, Iga Swiatek, right? From what I understand, huge amounts of sympathy in terms of the fact that it was an approved substance that was obviously given to her, but they all said, oh, she's for personal reasons. So you just outright. And how long did you think you were going to get away with this lie? Did you think you were going to get away with it forever? Did you not think, or do you think, oh, in a couple of months, like David Brent when he's laying off all his staff or whatever, they won't remember, you know, in that sort of way. 100%. You're like, but and same with Yannick and the fact that it was sort of 6 months cloak and dagger stuff, and he knows about it within days, I think, of the. So that's my issue. My issue is with the ATP, the ITIA, the way WADA and all the rest of them, all these other authorities and supposed authoritative voices on this. So that's it. I don't really mind if it's Jessica Pegula, Sevastova, McNally, Keys, Mboko, Buskova, Busas, or Ito. They're all on my screen right now. So nothing to do with those players.
Of course.
Or Yannick Sinner or Iga Swiatek. It's just my frustration is with those running the sport.
Sure. Yeah. 100%. And yeah, I think I'm very much kind of in line with that kind of way of thinking as well. I don't know. I don't necessarily buy into the whole there's a conspiracy behind the scenes. It's all one big cover up. I don't necessarily buy into that.
The thing is, if you say that, you start sounding like some of these people, and we know exactly who they are.
For sure. Yeah, we know. It's fine.
The problem I have, though, Scott, is that those people who are making those cases, they go way so random and so, you know, vindictive at times, and so not random, actually, it's very vindictive and very channeled. But they actually damage the actual, you know, let's just say you and I have a reasonable conversation. We go, I think there is something fishy here. But now you can't even, now you sort of say that and you start checking yourself. Oh, I sound like X, Y, and Z on Twitter now. And unfortunately, that's sort of undermining the argument. I do think there is some stuff that goes on.
Every time Nick Kyrgios makes a comment on it, you're like,
right, yeah, exactly. Because and it does seem like Kyrgios has a certain vendetta because of a certain thing that happened to him in the past.
Yeah,
in terms
100%,
of
100%,
his relationships. 100%. I mean, Kyrgios is another one that again, I'm very happy. And same with Tsitsipas, for example. I know very different players and very different backgrounds and characteristics. But I'm very happy to move on these players. Take Tsitsipas. In the last 9 months, I think I've moved 2 or 3 times in how you view him as a player. And so when he had that, so like say 2021, 2022, you know, around what was turned out to be his peak, I was like, yeah, I think he's got it. This is obviously just before Sinner and Alcaraz broke out. Yeah. But then it's like, okay. And in terms of his personality, I always thought, yeah, seems a bit silly with some of his tweets, but generally he's harmless. And then he'll go and do the video with Badosa about how men should be looking after. And you're thinking, oh, that's just...
Forgot about that until you mentioned it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you know, and so I'm there with that. And then I'm there with that for a while, and then he doesn't do anything bad. And then I start to feel a bit sorry for him. And I think, oh, he's got a lot of talent, but he's wasting it. And maybe I'm a bit annoyed at the way the father is. And then he brings on Philippus. And then I get annoyed with him again because of just how he keeps dicking around with these different coaches, for example. And he's also messing around with them as well. And then he's trying to cast them in a bad light where possible. Now, I sometimes the coaches in maybe Goran's case don't always do themselves any favors as well. But that's a separate point. But then suddenly this year, you know, he makes some changes, like with the racket, and I'm like, do you know what? He's winning a 500. I'm not here. I'm not here thinking he's going to win a slam, but I'm really pleased for him. He's turned a corner. You know, I like in his tennis as well. I like his tennis against anyone right now, except anyone called Yannick Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz. But fair enough, good for him.
Yeah.
And then he goes and does this with Goran and the season he has, and I'm like back. So and I'll move again, by the way, and I'm fine with that movement on these players. And yeah,
it's tough. Yeah. It's tough. Like opinions are like that. I mean, like I used to, and I still do a little bit. You know, make fun of Taylor Fritz a little bit. Like, and you know, I don't necessarily think that Fritz, like as brilliant as he is going to win like a major. Having said that, just over the past like few months, and like, and maybe it was initially triggered by the fact that I did actually take a photo with him at last year's Wimbledon.
I've got a selfie with Stefanos Tsitsipas going back 3.5 years, and I posted it. Yeah, it's a nice one. Me and him, and it's quite good. Just me and him, and I posted it on Twitter. And listened to this for a pun. I wrote "passing shot." Anyway, Tsitsipas liked it, and of course,
did he actually? Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
all right. Okay, that's wholesome. Yeah, yeah, like, but like, I met Fritz, briefly at Wimbledon, and that he was actually one of the few players who did stop and take photos, which is always appreciated. But then, like, even like seeing him at Wimbledon this year, I did start to respect him a little bit more because I saw him play in person, which was a great first round match against Pericard, is it? Yeah, unreal serving from him. But it was so good to watch, like that match, and the atmosphere was phenomenal, and it was just great to watch in person. And even since then, I've watched a few of his matches and been like, I'm kind of almost becoming a bit of a Fritz fan, to be honest. And I've never really like rated him a huge amount, and I don't really think he's gonna like. I don't really think that he's gonna like win a major or anything like that. But
I'm joining here, Scott, because my
you're good.
Is coming and going, but I'm back.
All good. All good.
Yeah. Can you hear me all right?
I can indeed, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, no, I've just become a bit more of a Fritz fan. In recent months, do I think he's gonna Fritz, like win a major? No, but like
I find him. I'm thinking about
he's got phenomenal backhand.
I'm thinking about his tennis. I'm just thinking
his backhand's phenomenal.
Do I think he's going to win a major? Also,
no.
Do I find like when he's
he's not a good mover. If you can hear me, John. I don't know if you can. Maybe I'm live on my own right now. Apologies if John might be
back
talking
now.
right now, but I can't hear him
with my phone.
Sorry, John. If you can hear me, apologies.
Sorry.
No, you're okay.
Good idea to run a YouTube with no internet. Yeah, I'm not connecting with my phone. So yeah, but when he's in that semi-final, Scott, against Carlos at Wimbledon,
yeah,
you know,
that was a great
I like
match.
Carlos yeah,
good
but
match.
I'm also thinking about the final. I mean, how many times are you watching matches? And I love upsets now. Now that you know my favorite player is no longer there, Rafa Nadal. Now I'm fine with chaos, but
yeah,
take the US Open last year. It was just a cakewalk for Yannick, you know.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So you do want to see a little bit of upset. You do want to see a little bit of like different names in there. You want to, you want to see a bit more variety. But which is why, I mean, I don't necessarily think that Fritz provides that, to be fair, but just because, I don't really think he moves well enough. I don't think he's got the game well enough. But yeah, I don't know. There's just something about it that he's endeared myself a little bit. So
I mean, I've
got another question from Jake.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, just quickly before you answer, I've seen Taylor at in press conferences, brutal losses in like the loss he had to Rafa in the Wimbledon in 2022. You know, when Rafa was basically like really struggling physically and could barely serve, and it was a brutal loss for him from a two sets to one lead, and he had chances and stuff. So yeah, I mean, I'd love it. I'd love it if he's in a Grand Slam like he was in the US Open final last year. Probably because he's the underdog. I want him to do well. I probably want him to win because I think he's probably not going to get that many chances as well as I know Yannick is going to be here, there, and everywhere. But I also, when I'm watching him in semi-finals, and I know Yannick's in the final lying in wait, or I want to see Sinner Alcaraz as often as I possibly can.
Yeah, understandable. Yeah, you want that match. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, if you would never really trade out that matchup at the moment for anything else on the ATP tour, you wouldn't. Like, who else are you wanting in there instead of those two? Like, even as surely even like huge fans of like, I don't know, any of the other top 10, like Musetti or whatever. Like, if you get the option of like that match instead, like you're surely watching that match, right? So, yeah, I do get it. For Jaco here, yeah. What is life like in Manchester?
Joe is the guy who's now an umpire, right? Is that who I'm thinking of? I think so.
Yes, it is. Yeah, that is Joe. Yeah, Joe Tennis. Yeah, well, umpire. Yeah,
he's very active on Twitter, didn't he? Used to be.
He did used to be very active on Twitter, but he's had to cut down on that specifically because he's now, an umpire. He's hopefully we'll see him on Wimbledon one day. I will say that maybe we will, but he's not convinced that he'll go that far. But we'll see. Manchester itself. Have you been to Manchester, John?
Many times. I mean, I'm a United fan, so that place that you see. Yeah. No, many times. I like it. Yeah. I like it myself. I know this question's for you, but anyway, I'm taking it. Yeah. I like it. But I also know that when I take people there, especially like people from around the world, and there's no Copacabana, there's no Eiffel Tower, there's no, there's music if you're into that, and nights out and good stuff.
You've absolutely like hit the nail on the head with my problem with Manchester, 100%, John. Like that's actually it. Like that's 100% it. Like I feel like it lacks like real like places that define it. Like, and I feel like it struggles a little bit to have like, like a place or like something to have. And like they're trying to combat that.
On the clock in the middle of the city, for example, and they go, oh.
Yeah,
and then you show men, and they're like, woo, woo, woo,
Yeah, 100%. And so like the equivalent of that is like what, like the Central Library, I suppose, or like I guess like in Manchester, which is nice, but it's like it's not a defining trait. And so they're now trying to like market, like they're now trying to like the thing that Manchester is doing that is good, objectively it is really good, but obviously some people fight back against it, is they are now like building loads and loads. They're like developing and spreading out the city as much as they can. And so one of the things they're doing is building these big kind of skyscrapers, like towers, the Dean's Gate towers they're called. And they're like big glass like skyscrapers, and they're obviously trying to get that like skyline that they want. And so they're trying to also like market it a little bit as like, we're progressing to the future and stuff like that, which is all good, but it's like it doesn't, like the city itself, like I feel it doesn't have a huge Like it's got lovely old red brick buildings that you always see in the cobbled streets in certain areas, but it for me it lacks a little bit of like identity and like what it wants to be a little bit. But it's very popular. It's very, very popular. I will say a lot of people who do live here love it and like sing its praises, and especially people who have left London are coming here a little bit more. It's a very diverse city, very, very open. A lot of young people staying here. It's obviously a little bit cheaper, although not super cheap, than London is as well. So there's definitely opportunities, and I hope that maybe in the future it can find something that like roots itself a little bit more. But yeah, I would agree with you, John. Like I don't know, like when friends come to visit, I'm like, I guess we'll just go to like the museum, I suppose. Like, but like there's nothing, nothing anchoring it necessarily.
The identity thing I think is interesting, because I think obviously in the past 10, 20, 30 years ago, its identity was pretty clear. But with this sort of urbanization, the problem is it's not big enough to like as a population to have dozens of skyscrapers. So what you either have right now is one or two, so it looks silly, or maybe in the future have a few more. But yeah, it doesn't really know where it's at, and it's a working class city. That's what it has always been, and probably should be. But now it's in a in this weird position.
It's the kind of place I feel like, yeah, sure, you can come for like a day or two for sure. Like, but like if you're planning like a week.
People who move there.
Well, I moved here for a job, but like my job comes to an end in November this year, so I'm going to be looking for another job. So if anybody has any contacts in tennis,
there you go. That's where all this analysis stuff is coming from.
Yeah.
And
well, I'm trying to up my game a little bit, John.
No.
So yeah, definitely. Like, what I'm saying is, I'm not necessarily like, I'm not necessarily thinking, oh, I'll definitely stay in Manchester. Like, if I got a great job offer here in Manchester, I would, stay on. But
Jeffo, you know Jeffo's in tennis now?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, so I saw him at Wimbledon. Yeah, I've had a wee chat with him. Don't worry. I'll be like, if you know of any, and he has said he'll let me know. So I do appreciate that.
Far from talking tennis to be a platform, but I do know a few people that have come through. I mean, they obviously always had those ambitions, but people have like Jerome as well. I don't know if you know Jerome, but he's now at the ATP, and so there's a few that have
Jerome's great. We've had we chat a little bit on Twitter. He's fantastic. Yeah, he's great. So maybe I'll drop him a message too.
You've got to explore every avenue you possibly can.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah, that's what I intend to do. I intend to chase it, but yeah.
But there was but back to Manchester anyway. Yeah, I love it. But people who move there, by the way, even if they come from some pretty exotic places, such as Brazil or Spain or Italy, and you think, oh, okay. But I've met lots of Brazilians, Spanish, Italians, and Greeks who love it. But they're often the ones that sort of don't visit, but they end up, especially if they study there. I think that sort of gets you into the city.
100%. Yeah, it's a student city for sure. They love it here. As I say, it's like, and which is why it might be interesting to like see the city in another 20, 30 years when like it has built up more. It has, because they are building everywhere here. Like it's hard to go somewhere, hard to go out for like a walk in Manchester without seeing them on a building site. So it will be interesting to like see the city again in like another few decades and see if it's going to change in any way, and if the people who love it right now are still here then. So it'll be intriguing. But in my personal opinion, in reply to my message, like Jake's message, I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan of it, to be honest, but it is.
Pegula's struggling a bit, by the way, and I've got some quite strong thoughts on Pegula in terms of the fact that I know she's won a couple of, I think she's maybe won 3 titles. I don't think she's been playing well since the US Open last year.
I mean, she's
good.
I haven't watched a huge amount of her, but
I have seen her a fair bit, and she went out the first round at Wimbledon, which did surprise me. That was sort of not quite the final straw, because I don't have a big vested interest in her either way, but that sort of was like, oh wow, first round, because actually I had everything in my semi-finals in the bracket, and I just trust her a lot. But now I'm not sure if I even trust her.
You're not so much, not so certain anymore, right?
She's someone that you like, not quite Yannick Sinner levels, but it's someone you can just trust, to pretty much beat players that she should be. And of course, you know how it's going to go against
Sabalenka or Swiatek. But now I don't even maybe trust her that much anymore.
Yeah, still early in the third set though. Yeah, give her time. Give her time.
Oh, by the way, this is not me. I'm not saying this is the problem, you see. So this gets taken out of context, and this is me saying, "Oh, she's going to lose today." No, not at all. It's just
that's what you all heard in the chat. That's what you all heard.
It's just a year. It's just a year, and yeah, sure, she'll win a 500 when there's no one else in the top 20 there.
Yeah.
Not talking about Bad Homburg, but there was a clay court tournament or a hard court tournament she won. I'm going to say about April time, maybe March. Brendan, do you know which one that was? She won a 250 or a 500, and
Austin and then Charleston.
Charleston, she won that one. Yeah. Anyway,
yeah.
Brendan,
how are we doing?
Have you and Scott met before?
We have not.
I don't think we
Scott,
have.
how are you?
Haven't had the pleasure. So
of course, I follow your account.
No, that I like this. Now it has to be the awkward thing where I'm like, do I follow you back? I hope so, right? Do I?
No, I don't know.
Oh, you see, this is super awkward. Like I meet people in person, that like just like because again, like very, very like.
I'm not.
You're not a big
super active. I'm not super active.
I appreciate it, Paul. I appreciate it.
Of course.
I'll
Big fan of your work.
But yeah, how you doing today, man? Are you all right?
I'm good.
Nice.
What do we got on now? Tiafa? I did enjoy.
That's what I've got. Yeah.
Seeing LEHECKA and FILS go at it.
Yeah.
Scott, Tiafoe is. I'm a fan.
Oh,
like
for sure.
If you said to me, Scott, if you could give me 3 Grand Slam winners, and then I'm just retiring from tennis myself as a viewer, I would take Mukova, Jabeur, and Tiafoe, and that's.
I would take. I'd take Monfils, 100%.
Oh yeah.
I would take Monfils. I would take Jabeur as well, just because, oh my God, like her story is so like brutal. Like she's never getting one. She's not getting one now. Unfortunately,
I don't think any of those. Yeah, even Mukova, I think not getting.
She's never getting one now. But and yeah, maybe Tiafoe. Yeah, for sure. I would maybe throw him in there.
By the way, you can also add one if you want Emma to get a second as over.
Oh wait, well of course, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Give it up. We're thinking like first time major winner.
Right? To win one or Raducanu to win her second. I'm going Monfils over.
I'm going Monfils. Everyone, come on. Does anybody not want Monfils going on? Right?
Yeah. I'm just getting a beer delivered. Hang on.
No. You're good. Who would you take for your first time winners, Brian?
I like that Monfils call, honestly. Tiafoe is not a bad one. Interesting that John has a soft spot for him.
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect that. Yeah.
Really? Is it because I don't have him in my power rank?
True.
The thing is, Brennan, people get confused, and I personally don't, as a fan of millions of other sports. I think in terms of what I want and what I think, I can keep them separate. You know, I can tell you now. Here's a good thing for both of you, but Scott in particular. Here's something for you. So obviously, I want, when Rafa Nadal was playing against Novak Djokovic, I wanted Rafa Nadal to win. However, there are many times, even ones that where people are probably more rational. I'll tell you now, in the 2020 French Open, the winter October final, I thought Djokovic was winning that. I made that prediction. I said Djokovic is beating Rafa today, and it was straight sets the other way around. Then the match they had in 21. I said Rafa's winning this, and Djokovic won it. And then in 2022, I said Djokovic is winning it, especially as it was at night and everything else that had gone on before. And Rafa was not complaining, but certainly saying about the 21 match, the colder it got that evening, that it sort of worked a bit more in Novak's favor. But I was buying into that, but also just in general, I saw Rafa struggling against clay court specialist Felix in the 5-setter, and Novak just swanning his way, including an easy win over Diego Schwartzman. And this is Diego Schwartzman that was very, very powerful on that surface between 2020 and 2022. In the 4th round, I think it was might have been the same day actually that Rafa had that 5 sets. So for me, it was like, Novak's winning this maybe in 4 sets, for example.
And yet there we are. So I think sometimes maybe my favorites, I'm maybe too hard on them. I'm sure there were times, Scott, that Andy Murray was playing a second round at a slam. You're thinking, I think he might lose today.
I mean,
And
especially
everyone
towards the end of his career, John, when there was a very high likelihood.
But let's talk
there was
about
a very high likelihood that he would lose.
Sure.
In the second round.
Weren't you panicking, or I don't know how it was. Maybe you're a different type of. It's all about your personality. But Scott, when you were watching Andy Murray in the first or second round at Wimbledon in 2013, you maybe, I don't fancy that guy in the second round. I think he might take a set, or he might push Andy to 5, and you're panicking.
Yeah, 100%. It was there, 100%. I think interestingly, because like those early stages, I think I was maybe only like slightly like on Twitter. I maybe wasn't using it as much to like follow along with matches and things like that. Like that, it made it. You felt less like there was less like doom scrolling and people being like, oh, he's going to lose this match, or he's going to lose this, or he's going to lose that. And so there was less kind of like, I don't know, feelings like you would let emotions get in the way less. But for sure, yeah, 100%. I would be like, oh, he's gonna struggle here. And when you heard that maybe they lost the set in the first round or the second round, you'd be like, oh no, this is not looking good. But yeah, I do get it. Yeah, and I think almost by like saying, yeah, as you say, like too harsh on your favorite player, definitely like takes the pressure off in your head, even if it's not like you're telling them that you have that. It's not going to make a difference to them, right? But for you personally, you feel this takes the pressure off for me if I expect them to lose and then they lose. So yeah, I do understand it. But it's definitely like an emotional thing, isn't it? Emotional intensity regarding favorite players. But
Jake, that is, by the way, Jake's going for your mate Casper Ruud, Scott, and I'm also there with that one too. Yeah. What about you? What about you, Brenner, with this sort of fantasy? Let's please get them to get a slam, and then everything's good again.
Maybe Rublev. He hasn't gone to a semifinal, so it doesn't.
I mean, by the way, I think all of the players we've mentioned, none of them are winning one.
100% no. Yeah. Like, absolutely.
By the way, you would have probably added Madison Keys to this a year ago.
That's true, actually. That is true, actually. Yeah, that is true. And then she came out of nowhere, right? But
yeah.
Rublev's a good call just because I feel so sorry for him all the time.
Right.
He's such a brutally intense player. And it's like,
Scott, you might have to tiptoe a little bit, but I still want your take on Holger Rune DMing Kudermetova and.
Oh my god! And to be fair,
I don't need to tiptoe quite as much, but I will say this, right? I've seen Holger Rune liking statuses. Let's say I think it's not a definite, but I've seen it. And he's not the only player, by the way. There's another one as well that springs to mind, but I won't mention it on air. I'll tell you off air. There's another player as well on the ATP Tour. And, it's at least, for example, the German player, she'll post something and this other player, for example, is always liking it. And I've seen Holger Rune's, because it comes up, doesn't it? Holger Rune and 43,000 other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I have seen that. So, yeah. And then there's the whole tennis central thing as well.
Oh,
They just, I didn't realize it until today. They just not deleted. They just sort of hid their account for a couple of days and came back. So I don't know what that was about. So they're not suspended. They are just back. I actually thought that the tweet about Rune was very funny. I thought it was very funny.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
But that doesn't stop. On Tennis Central, and then I'll get your thoughts, both of you. But on Tennis Central, again, it falls into this case by case. And by the way, I think Tennis Central has an identity problem too, because it doesn't quite. I'm not saying it's. Lots of people love it, as you can tell from all the following and all the rest of it. And by the way, I also think Andy Roddick has been very clever by getting on board with them super early, and it says how we've got. And he says how much he loves it. That means they won't come for him.
That means they won't come for him. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So he's got them because he would be someone who'd be very much on their radar. But he says, "Oh, it's so great." So he's. I think he's played them quite well there. But anyway, the thing is with Tennis Central is they have got kind of a split personality, and I don't know if that will be long term successful for them. They could just go for sort of mainstream media, for example, and mainstream people, and that's fine, and just go, look, this person is not who you think they are because of X, Y, Z, and they could stick with that. Or, and I know what you're saying, that to some extent with the humor, it's kind of very tenuously related, but I think they could just go with this just complete parody thing, you know, where it would be like, you know, I could see Monica Bellucci getting mentioned here. Well, just go, Monica Bellucci's really the grandmother or the wife of Matteo Bellucci or whatever, and that would be funny as well, and so on and so forth. But yeah, what are your thoughts on Tennis Central, Scott?
Yeah, for sure, definitely. Like like some of their tweets, 100%. I'm like, that's quite funny. Like I quite like that. Quite rate that. But then yeah, as you say, like then randomly they have like they're doing like a hit piece on like Ben Rothenberg. Like they want to like randomly take down Ben Rothenberg, and it's like what are you as like an entity? Like are you what now pretending you're like
as well, quite big.
Like it's good. Like the thing is, like with the whole like, you know, tweets that they come out with, some of it can be quite funny, be quite humorous, but then they come out with these tweets that make you really think about who's running the account. Like, and as soon as it does that, for me, it loses I lose my enjoyment of the page, because I'm like, as soon as I'm like, who's doing this? Like why are you like, who's running this account? Like as soon as I'm asking those questions, I'm like,
makes you a little bit wary of. I mean, I actually did laugh at the Holger Rune one.
For sure,
but it does make you a little bit wary of maybe interacting with other tweets. But yeah, you know, free speech and all that. So, but yeah, I'm guessing it's just one person, Scott. I'm guessing.
I don't reckon it's a team of people, and it could be a team of people. Like, could be a team. Although they're not like verified or anything, so they're not getting any money from it, right? So maybe it's just like for fun.
Yeah, they're not putting out many. They're not putting out that many tweets. Yeah, it might be like 3 a day or 4 a week. Well, I don't know what it's something around that. But what do you think, Brenna?
Yeah, well, they're clearly very invested in the sport. They clearly follow it closely. But I think it went like 0 to 100 so quickly.
Yeah.
You know, it caught a lot of attention, and yeah, I think obviously it is funny. I think some of the misworded quotes are a little like too much at times, but you know, that's part of it.
Scott, I don't know if you're familiar with Nerlan, our guy in the chat. He does go very left field with his questions. I'll take it on. I'll take this on, Nerlan. Nerlan, I need more specifics, Nerlan. What's he when he's sliding into my DMs, Nerlan? What's he asking me, and then I'll address it. But I'm broadly okay with Tennis Central. I just think that is it comedy, or is it we're going to take some of these people down? And I you could say you can do both. I'm not sure you could have just 2 separate accounts for that in a way. And
it also like sometimes like tweets out stuff that like is actually like true and legitimate, and so like at that point I'm like, what is this? Are you
what are we doing here?
Like they'll tweet like a screenshot of like somebody's Instagram, like if it's like something that like they think is like relevant to, I guess, like promote themselves a bit more, like they will tweet something that's like, you know, a screenshot of something or something, and you're like, wait, like that's real, that's true. So yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Some of them as well, so we get a bit with the identity thing. Some of them are actually just pretty close to being very reasonable. You know, it might just be, Tsitsipas has hired a backhand coach. You know, now if they said he's hired a backhand coach and it's someone who we know had a terrible backhand, maybe then that makes it funny again, if you like, and we get it, right? But it might be just like that, and you're like, well, that's a reasonable thing. Yes, it's true. We probably should do our research, and you should just check. I mean, I have seen something from a fairly established journalist, and she was annoyed at some social media account. She maybe even Talking Tennis was one of them, because we retweeted it, I think. And it was about Carlos Moya going to be Yannick Sinner's coach, I think it was. This wasn't Tennis Central's, but she was like, you know, and the thing is, she's like, why didn't anyone just contact Carlos? And it's like, well, maybe you very lucky. I mean, I'm not saying this, but I'm like, maybe you're very lucky and you've got Carlos Moya, you know, you can just get hold of him very quickly and say, hi, Carlos, is this true? The other thing is, you know, you are retweeting it, but as we know, social media, that doesn't mean that I'm putting my mortgage on this being true. But if an established account is saying that this is the case, and they're saying according to reports, again, you're fudging it a little bit with according to whatever report. Therefore, if it ends up not being true, well, that's the report, and that's why we use these sort of words. But she's obviously like, and I'm giving it away slightly there, at least by 50%. She's obviously someone who's been doing this for 30 years and very cushy, and she knows that she's going to be accredited wherever she goes. But I don't think she's any more of an authoritative voice than anyone else. But she clearly thinks that she is for whatever reason, and decided to put that out there to the world. And of course, when it ends up not being true, but I'm sure that she's probably made a mistake at some point in her journalism career.
Sure.
And but even I would still say that just retweeting it is not necessarily a huge mistake. It's just,
wasn't someone mad about the Tabio repost? Who remember they're like he wasn't going to play the French Open? Yeah.
Yes.
Wasn't someone mad at you?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. They were someone that I actually don't remember, but I think they may have met me in South America. Although I must say personally, I think he said something like, "Oh, I thought you," and I remember speaking to him on Instagram and just saying, "Well, you know, I'm reposting it. I may have commented as well. I'm not sure, but you know, I'm going for. I sort of know the account. I sort of know the people. I've said hello to them. I haven't ever had interaction with them, but I think they're called Septimo. And he said, "Well, you know, these guys are always," and he was quite calm in the end. But I was quite surprised how angry he was, like over. You know, Tabilo was also super annoyed as well with them saying that he's not playing the French Open. But I had just sort of, you know, don't shoot the messenger kind of thing. But yeah, it happens. It's when you're Scott, when you're tweeting hundreds of times a day and you're doing, you know, 1,000 videos a year and all the rest of it. And that's not to say we shouldn't take care.
Yeah. You
know, you might retweet something that ends up, and we're not talking about Third World War here. We're just talking about Carlos Moya being Yannick.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. And that's, you know, it's why like for me, like an account like that can be really quite good fun and like quite amusing. But then they start maybe taking themselves a bit too seriously, and it's like, all right, you know what I mean? And that's for me when it gets a little.
I remember retweeting something, and it's the same journalist actually regarding Carlos Moya. I retweeted something about, it was a quote from someone, and it was about the way tennis was being run. I think it was about sexism or something like that. And she did say it, albeit that she was repeating what she'd said 2 years before. And this same journalist was like, don't you know that she said, and this was actually now she's interacting with Talking Tennis rather than just putting a separate tweet out. Like, don't you know that she said she sent some screenshots of her making these quotes from 2 years before. I think that you know, I have to on a daily basis sometimes deal with bigger issues than Carlos Moya or whatever, and I think that she thinks that everyone else is just a numpty out there, if you like.
Yeah, quite right. Yeah, that's a very diplomatic diplomatic reasoning there, John. But yeah, no, definitely.
If you want to know who she is, I'll tell you privately. But
yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll do. Yeah, we'll message after, John.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to.
Drop me a wee message after.
And by the way, anyone else in the chat who's got my number, so that means that's Jake, can also DM me. Erland doesn't have my number, not yet. Anyway, that would be a higher risk one. But yeah. Any other final sort of tennis issues we could sort of address in Canada? Are you watching tennis right now, Scott?
Yeah, watching Francis.
Okay, you've got a face that says I'm watching, because actually I haven't even got the tennis on right now.
Have you not got it on right now, John? You not got it on? Come on, John. Come on.
I can get it on my phone for sure.
It's all right, John. Don't worry. Don't worry. It's Talking Tennis's birthday. Is it Talking Tennis's birthday today? Is it today?
It is.
Yeah.
Genuinely.
Yeah.
3 years.
Exactly today. It was about 10 p.m. more or less, like Central European time, that I went live with Owen.
I thought, oh my god!
I saw the video, John. That was well done.
That's cute.
Yeah,
that's cute. how you don't, John, put away your phone. We're not, don't
Yeah,
worry about getting the
it's
tell.
really nothing special. You don't really want to watch
Yeah, it's
repeats.
That's
not.
what
It's
I
just
thought. That's what I thought. There wasn't a match that gripped me
You're
like
fine.
Vukic
It's
and
early
Leipzig.
doors, John. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But yeah, like what? How does it feel 3 years in? Like, did you expect to still be going 3 years later? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I probably did. I just didn't think it would probably consume me as much as it has.
Okay. Okay.
That's
in what
in a
in what
nutshell.
way? You thought it would be more of just a hobby, just chill?
Yeah. I thought it would be an avenue to get accreditations at some point. Whether it be 250s or the biggies. But actually they came along a lot quicker than I thought. But anyway, I was doing Madrid within 6 months of starting this. I think I did Estoril, Barcelona, and Madrid back to back pretty much in a few weeks. So that's 250, 500, and 1,000. And that was I had, probably less than 2,000 subscribers at that point, and yet I was getting those accreditations. What I learned, I guess, at that point was actually there's just not that many of us. There's a few more now, but there's just not that many of us in this. Once you've got 5,000 or 10,000 followers, whether it be on Twitter or on suddenly you're in the conversation. You're in a conversation. Whereas if you need to have 100,000 in football before you'd even be in the conversation. But anyway, in terms of it consuming me, of course, it's been night and day at times over the last. That's not to say I still haven't enjoyed myself. I never not have a beer if I want one. There's just been a time maybe when I'm like, it's been a couple of times for sure when I have cut short a night out, for example, or something to go and fix something or do a stream or something like that for sure. And then, of course, in terms of the consumption, which is more what I'll get to, waking up in the morning and checking to see how a video's performed and what did I do wrong here or dealing with let's say an unhappy camper maybe, which actually hasn't happened that often, but there's been 2 or 3 occasions when that's happened.
Okay.
And again, I'm more than happy to talk about that off air it's the consumption, by the way, is 99. Well, it's 60% me and 39%, let's say, those running the sport, and 1%, whatever. Random fact. But there is a lot of it that is also me, and
You're doing well, though. You're doing well, John. You're very consistent with it.
I know, but
pushing it as much as you can be, and as somebody who for a while ran a website where I had like contributors and stuff like that, like Popcorn Tennis. Now I just use it to post my own stuff. If anybody does want to contribute anything, any bit of writing to Popcorn Tennis, do just email me, reach out to me. You still feel free to, you can stick it on up there and we'll post it. But
do check. As I say, I posted.
There's a big backlog of stuff. It's now significantly less busy than it was before, but I do know, how difficult it is to take the responsibility of having other people, giving their opinions on your page, and it's hard to get that balance right and grow it. So I think 3 years is good, John. 3 years is very good, because many people would have burnt themselves out, and I'm sure maybe you've came close to it at some point, but
a couple of times,
it's 3 years is good.
The thing is, as well, and I've said this to, I've sort of said it certainly, I think, to many people, if not everyone who's sort of come on regularly, at least. I have no idea. I have no idea what the next 12 days will bring, never mind the next 12 months. And I also don't know. I mean, I've been freelance, so self-employed pretty much for the last 6 years. Now, that can change very quickly, and I may get a job offer and it might be pretty good or better or more fun. I don't know, whatever. Things can change, or I can change circumstances. A million things can happen in our lives that can contribute to that. And so, and maybe I'm saying this to Brendan maybe for the first time at least, I don't know. But that doesn't mean it will be. I mean, I could be here in 10 years from now and I may have the biggest tennis YouTube channel on the planet, and we're doing X, Y, and Z, and we're doing great and all the rest of it. And maybe I'm not as consumed by it as well, but who knows, maybe even more. Conversely, I am also, and I mean this to both of you as well, but I'm more than happy if for example, let's just say something happens, my contract at my current job doesn't get renewed, and I end up having to change a job or whatever, I'm more than happy to just give it away.
Give it away, really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Don't totally.
Really, you would do it? You would do that?
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's not me giving it away right now. And by the way,
I'll get the keys. I'll get the keys later on, John.
there's a lot of people who wouldn't want it. And by the way, when I say give it away, there's also a million different things that the next person or probably people could do with it. And it may well mean dialing back a fair bit because they may well have lots of commitments, but they may be like, yeah, I think I can do one show a week, as they often are, for example. But yeah, I'd get, honestly, I mean that. I'm saying it live now, so you've got this in stone. Yeah, I would just give it away and try and make that transition as smooth and as cool as possible.
I would say I hope for the channel's sake that you're still involved for a good while yet, John.
I would be a completely free consultant, and I mean that as well. Albeit I won't be available 24/7. But if anyone just said, and I know where I have expertise, I also know where I have weaknesses. But like if they were like saying, look, can you help us with headlines or titles and what works and what won't, and what's your experience and all the rest of it, thumbnails or whatever. Then I'm here 100% for that. But I'm not saying that's going to happen. And I may well be doing a fourth birthday show in a year from now, and we're doing exactly as we're doing now, and maybe a fifth, and maybe a sixth. But you just don't know. And some jobs, they say you could do this job, I might get promoted or whatever, and they say we're going to promote you, but you can't do a separate show or a separate thing. Maybe I even like Joe with the umpire or whatever.
Yeah.
I have no ambitions to be an umpire, by the way. I absolutely can tell you now. That is
You're
not
pitching your umpire training there, John.
That's too good.
Keen, by the way, having a go at Andy Murray there in the.
I know. I see that. I'm about to go for my dinner anyway, so I'll maybe take that as my opportunity to go and get some food. But
I want to say, dinner at 9 p.m. You're very Hispanic.
I'd have dinner super late. Like it's my partner's Spanish, so they eat food later over there, right? So not like, to be fair though, she's very much into the British culture, so she usually has food much earlier than me. Anyway, but never mind.
Where in Spain is she from?
She's from don't quote me on this. The south, right beside the what city is the Alhambra in? It's
Alhambra's in Granada.
Yeah, Granada, right near Granada, not Granada, a small town near Granada. So yeah, very beautiful area. If anybody wants to go to Granada, I would highly recommend it. Very, very nice, very, very pretty city. But thanks for having me on, John. I appreciate the invite to this. I know, like, open invitation, but I couldn't believe it. 3 years old today. That's crazy. That is crazy. You've taken it all the way through. You've been pushing with it, John, and yeah, I hope it continues under your control for the foreseeable future.
We'll see. When would adventure?
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Have a good night. Have a good night.
Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Guys. Nice to meet you, Brennan.
You as well.
Okay, Brennan, just let's have a quick chat about the tennis, shall we, for a minute or two, or maybe even longer.
Yeah.
So, my man Mensik losing in 8 sets today.
I was gonna text you. I'm like, all right, at least we have a Hachinov Mensik type of conversation coming up. How's
is Hachinov? What's it? I mean, he's doing okay.
He's not playing. He's playing tomorrow.
Yes.
But yeah, like, did you watch that match?
No, I didn't know. But I was probably thinking that Mensik would win for more than just the fact that I'm kind of big on him at the moment, but also because I thought David Fokina is gonna just run out of steam at some point. And then of course there was the social media post and everything else. If this goes 3, and I couldn't imagine Davidovich winning it in straight sets. I was like, this goes 3, he's going to run out of steam. And Washington, and we've seen how that happens so many times on the tour, but we saw how it was with Layla, for example, going out early, and that's kind of normal. You just it's very difficult to just sort of jump from one country to the other and play 48 hours later, and even if it is US and Canada. So I just thought it's going to catch up with David Fokina, and there we go, straight sets. But I didn't see a single ball, so didn't see a single point.
Yeah,
So.
I saw some few. I don't really know. I think scoreboard pressure a little bit, maybe. I don't know.
Pegula's lost, by the way.
Did she just lose?
Yeah, 6-1 in the third.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really? I watched the 10th game of the second set. Savastova. Yeah.
I mean, it was
Pegula had two breakback points. Savastova was playing a really, really junky game.
Okay.
That's annoying for Pegula, right?
Yeah.
You saw with Bassan.
Yeah. I just think that she's won these titles. You know, we were talking about just as you joined. She's won these titles. Actually, her ranking is still really high, and obviously she's got, you know, slam final points to defend. Well, she's actually got title points to defend here in Canada, so they're going to come off.
Oh yeah, was it Canada? And then she went Cincy as well. Lost to Sabalenka.
Exactly. So she won Canada, got to the final in Cincy, and then got to the final at the US Open. So, I mean, I don't
she
think
couldn't have set herself up better, as Pam even mentioned, losing early at Wimbledon.
Right.
A little extra time to train, and
I got that. I understood that philosophy.
yeah.
Sure.
And I don't know if you watched the Fernandez match in Washington. Layla was up love 30 in like 3 consecutive service games in that third set.
Layla was so on.
She ends up winning, but yeah, like she was dominating in that third. Maybe it's a little bit of a trend. Third sets, I don't know.
Keen, I'm really happy to answer this question because I saw the third set today. I didn't watch the previous 2 sets, at least in person. McDonald beating Nagal today. I liked what I saw. I will say this, Keen, more than anything else, I liked the sort of maturity and the fact that, okay, he's, you know, been playing tennis for a few years, but in terms of the main tour, I think it's only the second, I should say the Challenger Tour, it's only his second win. I know he's won the junior title at the French Open, but the way he could deal with the rain delay and then obviously the momentum shift that occurred both yesterday, then also today down a break. I thought when he's down a break today, I thought, okay, nice work. See you in Bonn. Have a good one. You've shown what you're capable of. You played brilliantly for 1 set against Nagal, but ultimately Nagal, the more experienced player, is going to do it. But the way he came back in that match and that third set, even though he was down a break, was all on McDonald's serve. I don't know if you know who we're talking about here, by the way.
No, I saw a little bit of both interviews.
Oh, okay, so you're familiar with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, Nice McDonald, 17-year-old.
Impressive.
Yeah, and he was on his racket. That's also quite nice. You know, if you're already 17 and you're going to have matches against players like Nagal and yeah, that's nice. Nagal is always probably going to give you a slight chance on his serve, especially on clay.
Yep.
But so when you're down a break, it's not quite John Isner on grass. Yeah, no, I liked what I saw. That's as far as I'll go. I need to see a few more weeks and months on the Challenger Tour before I start getting bigger. But that's what I'll say for now.
No, that is exciting.
Super mature as well. Super. I mean, I know a lot.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I know, like, I felt it a lot with Alex Ayala, actually. There was sort of a very polished, sort of media-trained individual there. But with him, I think it was possibly a bit more natural in that he's just like, yep, I knew that rain delays happen and that's how it is. And I knew that there'd be this and I knew there'd be that. And had to obviously deal with the blow-up in down a break in the third. And yeah, I think he's got a good old head on young shoulders. That's a great start, as well as, you know, lots of talent. So yeah. Silky, you said when Sampras around, it was your interest dipped the most in tennis. Where would you put your interest in tennis now compared to where it's at its highest? I would say there's sort of 2 or 3 parts to this, Jake, is that there was the kid of me. So let's say 85 to 90, early 90s. Let's say the kid of me, like watching in the 80s with Becker and then the early 90s with Agassi, for example, when he Wimbledon in 92. I thought that was a lot of fun. But it was still grass season and nothing else existed, if you like, for 48, 49 weeks of the year. then as you're right, the Sampras thing, I wasn't as big a fan of Sampras, and I didn't find that tennis super exciting. Now, you might say the same with Becker and Edberg, but I'd latched on to Becker, and I was a fan of his. And then there was the British players like Tim Henman, and before that, Jeremy Bates. So that was always fun to see how far they could go. But yeah, the Sampras era, and even probably the early 2000s, I probably wasn't watching a huge amount of tennis. Then the big three, because I wouldn't just say Nadal, I would also factor in Roger and then latterly Novak into this sort of semi-obsession with the slams, at least. And other big moments in the sport. And then where is it at now? Now two of the big three have gone, Rafa in particular. It's like I'm just there for the I know it sounds a bit romantic, but I really am there for the slightly smaller, littler stories. Now that it's not crazy little, like wanting Mukova or Jabeur, or I'm with you on Casper Ruud as well. I'm there for that. I'm also there for the journeyman of tennis that are still grinding at 35. And yeah. What about you, Brenner? Tell us about your, and I will come to your Trotsky question or point in a minute. But Brenner, go on, tell us your tennis.
And I do want to highlight this question that Jake asked a while ago, because I think it's a good one. But I don't have like tennis history roots, to be honest. I feel like I'm like when I was growing up, I would have Wimbledon on the TV in the summer and kind of follow the French Open. Like in the US, we have ESPN as the biggest sports outlet, and there's just not a lot of coverage from ESPN. Obviously, they have them on TV and whatnot, but like Sports Center, I don't know if you ever heard of that. Like that was kind of the highlight reel of all the sports in the US. And
Sports Center would
tennis
really
just
like have the ticker flying across, and
yes.
Rafa's won his 12th French Open.
Yes, exactly. And so it was just so brief, but I always sided with Rafa. That's kind of about it. And then I just, got into the sport only 2.5 years ago. So,
I love this question, or this point, if you like, Jake. I mean, other sports do have Rothenbergs, and in particular Morgado, I think, as a sort of a social media king in a way. And I'm comparing it to football most easily for me, because it's the other sport I'm very familiar with.
Yep.
So I can think of one or two.
Yeah.
In football, of course, those figures have evolved into, let's say, transfers, and that's where they found their biggest sort of thing, and they've made contacts and so on and so forth. I actually find, because I know Jose a little bit, a few conversations here and there, not much more, but he's a Benfica fan, by the way. I hope I'm not outing him as a Benfica fan, but yeah, I find Jose far more innocent than some of the people that Jake knows in football that have got millions of followers that are, churning out stories, if you like. Because first of all, I know Jose a little bit in terms of him being a very nice guy, and also, he's not giving us huge insights, but we've all retweeted stuff from him. And if we followed, if we were on Twitter even more than we already are, which is quite a bit, we'd probably retweet him even more. So, and I'm retweeting him because he's very useful as well. So that's that. Secondly, obviously you've got the Rothenberg thing there. And why are there not more sort of, I think tennis doesn't quite lend itself in the same way that football. So I think of football, for example, with the amount of tactical analysis, and I'm sure it's the same for American football too in the US and Canada. These two sports lend themselves, and I'll talk more about English football, if you like, because it's one I know more about, lend itself immensely to this side of the game. Now in tennis, yes, we do know there are certain interesting patterns that can emerge, and certain different approaches to return position, or Tsitsipas's backhand, or maybe Rybakina at the net, or so on and so forth. Oh, it's interesting how Iga hasn't done a drop shot for 27 years, etc., etc. However, the size of the court, and there's just two people on each side, and there's only so many places you can put the ball. There's not quite as many dynamics or as random elements as there are in football. Then, of course, in football, you throw in this incredible, immense passion that you have for your home club or your hometown, etc., etc. And you are desperate to know more about this person that you've just spent 20, 40, 60 million euros on. And so there's someone out there with a 20-minute video telling you exactly where he likes to receive the ball and where he likes to move afterwards and what he's likely to do next, and so on and so forth. You just don't have any of that in tennis. And then one other layer in tennis, which is different to football, certainly, is people don't care. Now, that you might say, why don't they care? Well, 90% of the audience, maybe even more, certainly let's just say centre court for the Wimbledon final, probably 30% of the people don't know even necessarily who the two players are, even if it's Sinner and Alcaraz. So, and that's also partly because of the culture and the way the sport has evolved and the way it's obviously not as broad as football. I don't know if you've got anything to add, Brenna.
No, I mean, I think that's a fair point. I don't know, what you just said kind of sticks out to me in terms of, the people attending these matches, they're not as familiar with the sport. But yeah, I think overall, tennis, you're right, there's just not as many moving pieces. Like, the only thing that we can compare a transfer to is having a new coach. And, like, that is big news for us, right? And that's, like, easy for them to tweet about, but I feel like people's maybe they don't like that those two are, maybe they don't, not that they don't like it, but it's surprising that they are the faces because of their lack of tennis knowledge. I don't really think that's like how it is. Yeah, they're probably not watching as many matches as us, but that's not what their job is. They just want to put out the big headlines, and like, so be it. We all follow them, and just to keep up with whatever they're saying. But it is kind of an interesting point. Like, the same thing we have in basketball. We used to have two big names who would report on, big trades, and one guy actually ended up retiring last year. So now it's just kind of one guy, and there are other little spots for other people, but it's really just like, just one or two main people. And same with soccer, Fabrizio, and I don't know who else. Who else would it be?
There's a British guy who's sort of a poor man's Fabrizio, but I can't think of his name right now. Jake Norton. So please do write in the chat, Jake, who we're thinking of, because I think Jake is a bigger fan of the British guy than Fabrizio, for example. But I mean, Fabrizio has, I don't know, 20, 30, 40. He's one of the people in my mind when I was thinking of Jose Morgado in a way.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, David Ornstein, British sort of version, if you like. And maybe his style as well comes across as being a bit less in your face than maybe, and it's not maybe quite as manufactured maybe in the Fabrizio way. So that's maybe one of the things that David Ornstein had, this sort of smoother sort of way. And yeah, maybe also he's a bit more genuine. I don't know. But I also think that with someone like Fabrizio as well, is they sort of, you end up getting molded. And it's not like 10 years ago when Fabrizio started a Twitter account and maybe he just latched onto something. And then I think you end up becoming that rather than necessarily going, you know what, I'm going to be this. Some people might call him a fraud. Some people might say this. Some people say he's not necessarily that groundbreaking, but he's obviously got contacts and he knows the system in terms of the agents, in terms of the clubs, in terms of his role in that. And it's not necessarily good for the sport in terms of where the money is ending up transferring itself. Let's say Fabrizio has extremely good relations with agents, which I imagine he does. Are agents necessarily a super good thing for football? I would argue probably no. Are they even necessary? You probably know as well, but they're there now, and therefore, and therefore Fabrizio's there as well. And there'll be other people out there trying to copy, and I'm sure they're doing pretty well as well of copying Fabrizio's style. So I can see why people like Fabrizio annoy certain fans, because they know that they're in the pocket of agents and the money's just disappearing out of the game when it could be going somewhere else.
Yeah, that's true. John, I am gonna have to hop off in a few.
Yeah, no worries,
But
Brenna.
of
We're
course,
going to be bringing this to a close anyway. So, but I'll keep going for a few more minutes. But thanks, Brenna, for joining us, and we'll see you
no,
soon.
thank you, John, and happy birthday to Talking Tennis. Grateful to be a part of the crew.
See you soon. Take care.
Cheers. Bye.
So, Keys McNally, shall we stay live until the end of that match? I think it's only right. Yeah, that's another good point, Jane, as well, actually. And that was something that was going through my mind. It is a much more difficult sport to cover in that way. You also don't have, listen, here's something that maybe many of you are not aware of. Completely different to other sports where, let's just say, and it is partly because of the, no, completely different to other sports. If you looked around the media room, and I'm not going to say what you think I'm going to say right now. There is one thing, in terms of slams, and in fact, other tournaments too, where you'll have lots of non-tennis journalists there that are just covering it because it happens to be in their hometown, or Wimbledon, you'll have a lot of, hacks there that are generally spending 50 weeks of the year covering other sports. But actually, aside from that, I don't think the sport is sustainable on so many levels. And the reason for that is because of the people that run it, not because of the appeal. The appeal is there. But if you stopped the press conference, let's say it was a busy press conference in Madrid, and there were 30 people in there in that press conference, and you said, how are you earning a living from this? Probably 50% would say no. They'll either be someone like myself or somebody very similar. They may be a podcaster. They may be an intern. There will be 50%, by the way, that are working for newspapers or whatever, and they'll be earning a living. But that's a phenomenal percentage of people in that room that are passionate about the sport, keen to see it grow, hoping one day to maybe make this their profession, but also being very aware that it might well not be. That's a huge, in my opinion, it's a huge percentage of the press box and I'm not talking so much about the Grand Slams. Maybe it's a bit more 75-25 there, but that's a lot. And by the way, there's enough out there for actually everybody in that room to make a living, I think. But there's, first of all, the authorities and those running the sport are not keen on that. And secondly, people pulling in all sorts of different directions, which doesn't help. Keen. I would say 90% of challengers sort of treat you fine in that they just say, just go on and do your thing. Now, I also know the sort of media guy here, and I've seen him around, and we follow each other on social media, so that helps. But yeah, I would say that the number of issues I've had covering challengers, I could probably count on one hand. The number of issues I've had trying to cover the main tour, the stream would last another 12 hours. And that would be that. Yeah, I don't know if you know that, Jake. I think, of course I told you about that. Yeah. Right. Okay. This brings us to a close because Madison Keys has got over the line against McNally, so that's wonderful for her. And it was great to see Damien and Zach and Brenner and Scott as well, who've all bit by bit and various parts have all but that's not the challenger's fault. I've had it's a lot easier, and I'm looking forward to Bond next week, and hopefully you've enjoyed the coverage from Hagen. And do make sure you give Damien a follow as well, Damien Kust. I think it's at Damien Kust on Twitter, and keep up to date with loads of challenger stuff and 125s on the WTA side from time to time. But thanks for that. We are going to play you out with the video that I played earlier. And this is me signing off, celebrating 3 years doing this. And now you're going to watch a video with some of the highlights from those 3 years. But we're going to have to download it again on this different laptop that I'm using. So you're going to see me for another minute or so just while I
download it unless I can get the internet on this computer. Let's see if I can as I talk and think out loud. Yeah, I think I have, so I can probably play it here. So yeah, this is just going to give you a quick 10 minutes on some of the moments from the last 3 years. Oh, and now I'm echoing. Now I'm not echoing. Hang on. This is typical. I think you can still hear me. Okay. Okay, here we go. Let's play that video. Cheers, guys.
Play.
Oh, cool. So here we are. I don't have any gizmos. I don't have any colors. I don't have any music yet. This is my first show. I barely even have a name, but for now it's Talking Tennis. And I'm really pleased to have on Owen Lewis of Popcorn Tennis, who...
You're like the Wizard of Oz. People really don't know. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We've lost John. See? These things happen. And I believe it's pronounced John Syilk. John Syilk, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, no. Well, anyway, I got to tell you guys, John's a good dude. He is. And it's awesome that he provides this resource and gives you the opportunity to get the inside scoop on some of the backstories regarding the sport of tennis. And I wish him all the best. As it says on the screen, hit the like button on this episode and subscribe to the channel so that you can hear from more idiots like me. What other characters and voices do you do, Andy? Well, there was this sport called Letway. There he is. Hey,
Andy,
hey, John.
That was a technical issue.
I know. I was entertaining myself, and
I'll see if I can maybe use that or salvage it. I'll let you know later.
It says it was still recording. So
yes, and we are still recording, which is good. That was my primary panic, was that the recording would have ended, but luckily we weren't live. Behind me is the centre court here in Werash. As you can see, a rain-sodden Werash at the moment, and play today is questionable, let's say, because of that. And it's been a rain-hit tournament, including Alex Ayala's first round match, which was, of course, spread over 2 days. Waiting for my camera to blow over. Don't worry. I'm fine. Yeah, good. I didn't notice you. Yeah, that was not intentional. See you soon.
I will say...
Wee.
Oops.
It's okay. We'll do that question again, if that's okay. Cool. All right. Yeah, so toughest opponent, you would say?
I will say...
If I'm healthy and I can play the level I'm playing, and or if I want to play the level I'm playing, and I'm 35, 36, I think it's, for me, it would be good enough. Yeah, because I would love to carry on different things in life, you know.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, hopefully...
No way this was actually Neil Skapski, by the way.
What's this? Something about Neil Skapski is probably used to it. I don't get that one, sorry.
okay.
Neil Skapski showed up in the chat, yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. There was someone called Neil Skopski in the chat, was there?
On these Polish streams, I sometimes do Zizhen Zhang would show up from time to time. I don't think it was actual Triple Z.
Listen, it probably wasn't Neil Skupski, but if it was, then they've done, or if it wasn't, sorry, they've done their homework because he is a Liverpool fan.
And yeah, Neil Skapski would also be suggesting Luke Johnson, of course, for a fellow Brit.
Brazy is convinced it's the real Neil Skupski. Jake is asking if it's the real Neil Skupski. Yeah, could be. I mean, if you're gonna fake being someone, then you're probably not going to choose Skupski, but then that's probably a good one to choose as a result.
Why wouldn't you choose Skapski?
You wouldn't choose him because you go for a big one. You know, why not be Martin? Yeah, but I mean, like in the world of tennis,
if it's the real Neil Skapski, now you kind of
be annoyed at that. As well as the Man United hat, I'm going to have to go on a big apology towards him. And yeah, I'm not big, he says. Yeah, there you go. Neil, if it's you, you're huge. But I'm still thinking that Neil, you're not Boris Becker. That's the one you got to choose, or Martina Navratilova, or Steffi Graf in the singles.
I'm sorry, Neil. I think top 20. Well, former number one doubles. Like you're still big.
You're big, but
you're big to me. You're big to me.
But we still don't know if it's. And by the way, we're not going to get the truth out of Neil anyway, because if it's him, he's going to go, yeah, it's me. I'm the real Neil Skupski. And if he's not telling the truth and it really isn't Neil Skupski, he's going to go, yeah, it's me.
We'll never know, unless he like.
Well, no, here's how we'll know, Neil. If you are the real Neil Skupski, send me a DM on Instagram or on Twitter, and then we'll know. Neil's officially a friend of the show.
Yeah, friend of the show, Neil Skapski, actually. Yes.
Or maybe the first enemy of the show, arguably, given the hat and the Liverpool.
Given what you said about him not being big, probably.
Yeah. I've got a development. I've got a development in the Neil Skupski story. So the real Neil Skupski has definitely joined us on Instagram. So
wow.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So he joined because on Instagram you can sort of see obviously who they are, and he's got the blue tick and everything. So
and what is that interesting thing?
I'm guessing it's in response maybe to something I said, like about, I think I'd go for a Becker or a Graf if I'm going to fake it. Anyway.
Wow. Okay, I'm actually kind of shocked.
I'm surprised that Neil, being a Liverpool fan, has tuned in to Diego Forlan, given what obviously happened between Liverpool and Manchester United in 2003. She's going to be under pressure here at Love 15. So, Siegerman here, Love 15 on her serve.
Ready? Play.
Just one in English. The draw for the French Open was made today. You're going to be playing Kalinskaya.
Oh. I just said I don't want to know.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.